Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Four Nations by the UKEL. I am Brackish Brit, and in that direction is Max, aka Bloxer, and we are here for the rerun, the Redux, the replay of Week 4, Day Two's games, so that we can get ourselves nice and ready to get back to live after these have finished showing on Monday. But before we do that, let's have a quick check, where we're standing. Obviously, this is a great time because we are just about to start the second round robin.
I mean, this is perfect to be jumping right on in here. We're getting back to live for the next set of games, but for this one's still on the pre-recorders, but we get to see these teams face up once again. And for these first couple that we've got today, Lions Creed DMG, as well as Venom Crest, who's up against Belfast Storm.
Yep.
These teams, they've faced up before, but they were not particularly competitive games, it must be said. Lions Creed kind of dismantled DMG the first time around, and the same could be said for Venom Crest and Belfast versus Belfast. So hopefully we can get a little bit more competitive this time around.
The question is, though, Max, do we expect anything to change coming into the second round robin? Because Lions Creed Academy and Venom Crest have been looking very strong throughout the first round robin, whereas DMG has been floundering somewhat. We had a lot of roster swaps. And do you think that's going to be enough to let them challenge Cabbage Creed, as it were?
There's a potential situation, actually, I could see where DMD do come out on top. Sure, they're currently sat at 2 and 5, but they're actually looking pretty good. They've been beginning to really find their way around. They've got a slightly different roster. Things are just seem to be on the up for this team. That being said, they're up against a 7-0 squad in Lions Creed. Lions Creed seem kind of insurmountable in... What was that, a couple play games ago? They just dismantled Venom Crest, so, it's a tough challenge, but I don't think it's completely out of the realms of possibility for DMG to be able to come out on top. When we look at Venom Crest, they've lost 2 on the bounce, so I think it would be a little bit more reasonable to think that perhaps Belfast can come out on top versus Venom Crest. They haven't been looking quite as strong. At the same time, if Venom Crest do bounce back, this would be the time to do it. Lose 2, shake off that rust, and just get back into the flow of things.
Absolutely. We'll get to that when we get to it, though, because we do have, as you said, Lions Creed Academy up against GMG UK first, as I believe. We can get straight on into looking at what the draft was for this game. Thank you very much, production. Lions Creed Academy on the blue side, DMG on the red. And, I mean, it's a lot of not terribly surprising things. There is a missing ban. Production, do we know why that happened? Is that a missing ban? Oh, okay. Okay. There is a reason for the missing ban. There's just a little rap on the knuckles for a couple of things that happen behind the scenes. With that in mind, what do we think of what we see here?
I'm not such a fan of Lions Creed's composition, actually. I think that it could get itself into a situation where you're really strapped for proper AD damage. Corki obviously does some, but is not a full AD threat. You've not got yourself a traditional AD carry to really rely on, and you're sat in a situation where you really need your jungler to pop off and be that full AD carry, which I've seen a lot of teams do recently, and it hasn't worked out in a lot of situations. When you have just the jungler to rely on, you can lack that consistent damage to get through tanks, and sure, it's not the tankiest composition that DMG have picked up for themselves, but there's still a Sejuani that can frontline for days if you don't have anyone to get through it. DMG, on the other hand, I like this composition a lot more. It is quite heavily focused on the early game. You're looking to really spike it around level 6. That's when a Kalista can come online. That's when a TF obviously comes online. And if you can get a lot of momentum around that level 6, I could see a situation where DMG are able to take that and run with it.
With that in mind, let's get ourselves right onto the Rift for the first game of the day. Let's keep it rattling along nice and quick because we ain't got no time for waiting. Live games are in store. And so we'll get ourselves onto the Rift for the first game of the second round robin. Lions Creed Academy, as we've put forward, undefeated thus far. DMG on the up and up. We'll see if they can compete. And, I mean, the question becomes, you said you're not the hugest fan of this Lions Creed composition, might struggle to get through the front line. What's the sort of break point that you'd say that DMG, you've said, say, more early game focused composition, where's the sort of break point for Lions Creed Academy where they go, okay, we're fine, we can just, like, we know we outscale you?
It really is on the jungler being super proactive. How much can Porp get done? Does Porp manage to find a ton of ganks? Xin Zhao is incredibly strong in the early stages of the game. He skirmishes brilliantly, has great gank setup as well. That Wind Becomes Lightning is a brilliant engage tool, and he's got lanes with enough CC in the top and in the bot lane to make things like that work, but you have to do it. You have to be proactive. If he falls behind, that's where I begin to worry, but if you find those initial couple of ganks, that is where you can really begin to accelerate your game forwards, get you into the later stage. Because if this composition does get rumbling, the top lane K'Sante basically unkillable. You do get plenty of overall damage from a Corki, and Seraphine does a surprising amount whilst also keeping your main carries alive. This composition certainly has tools to play around. It's just about getting them off of the ground as quickly as possible.
And you were talking about Porp, the Seraphine, really a big buff to Porp, obviously. Very tanky, against longer ranged carries because of the Crescent Guard and the inherent healing. But then you put Seraphine shielding healing on top of that, and that can make Porp almost as hard to kill as this K'Sante in later stage fights.
Absolutely. I've seen multiple situations recently, actually, where just people are trying so desperately to kill a Xin Zhao, but you can't. That ultimate is incredibly strong once you get into a big team fight. It makes him really tricky to actually get on top of and try to kill. So if you're able to get to that point, plus you've got a Seraphine helping you out, and you've got all of the CC frontline that a K'Sante Maokai can put down, that can really help you out. There's also decent team fighting from this composition, just from the ability to set up. You've got enough poke, and it's not the longest range composition out of DMG either. The Kalista is one of the shorter ranged. Oh, hang on.
Good route out
That's
from
a lot.
Spark there, but the follow-up Ignite and the damage coming out from Mikey is enough to take it down, and we were talking about the early game. This Kalista needs to get rolling, and rolling she has gotten. TP already forced out from Spark. Thankfully didn't burn the flash, so not super vulnerable to a repeat death. But yeah, great start. Great start for Mikey.
Brilliant start, and you say luckily didn't burn the flash, but you don't want to be giving over a first blood to a Kalista. This is kind of the nightmare situation where a bot lane AD carry that has to get yourself a lead gets one immediately through just misplay, stepping up too far. A really nice handshake out of Pighead just takes down that kill, and you only end up losing out on the Ignite. Now it's got a very short cooldown. It's already a quarter of the way back up. You can just run that back repeatedly, and I said that you spike mainly at level 6. That's still true. But if this bot lane can get rolling before then, really put the pressure onto this Seraphine, it's not like you're in a situation where you have a traditional ADC who you can rely upon to just get 3 items, be a beast, whatever happens. You've got to get a Seraphine into a comfortable position, otherwise she's a little bit of a pretty pink-headed caster minion.
You're not wrong. And right now, I mean, that's kind of what Spark is feeling like in this lane as well. The wave has to push back towards them. And Mikey and Pighead will do just that. But that does mean that the CS lead is already starting to build up in favor of Mikey also. In fact, it's looking that way across the entire Rift right now. We've got Azir Kaiser towards the top side, has a slight advantage over Bust, but of course they'll be trading back and forth till the cows come home. Jungle is being cleared at roughly the same pace. We've got Scuttle apiece as well. And it looks like Porp does get out onto the map just that tiny bit faster.
Yeah, Porp is always so efficient on these clears, just really knows how to get the absolute most out of his champion, but he needs to start getting things done. You've got yourself to level 4, this is the point in which junglers can start to gank. If he does want to step up onto this bot lane, he's going to be spotted out pretty much immediately. Looks like DMG going to be perfectly happy to just push this one through. There's a big wave under the tower that you can't really step out from under if you are Spark and the Heathen. Now looks like they're going to try to get on top of Porp.
Dogstrike coming straight over the wall, and the invade means that Porp is going to have to step away. Does end up getting, I think, a majority of that camp. The damage coming back from Spark, I mean, it exists.
Yes.
You know, there are numbers. They are greater than 0, but we are not at the point in the game where Seraphine is any kind of real threat. As the fight happens
really
towards
not.
the top side, level 6 has come through, however, Needlework dodged away from by Bust. That could have been very, very dicey for him. Hasn't yet hit the level 6. Is just about able to stay alive, though.
Yeah, missing the needlework there, not going to be able to pick up that kill. You really have to hit those in that situation, and K'Sante is at his most vulnerable right now. See, straight onto this buff goes the Sedge. Just going to be able to pick this one up. There's no real response, but it is going to be a trade for the grubs. Pop directly onto those ones. And this trade, it's not the end of the world for either of these teams, but it does now put a lot of pressure onto Dongzhu. You have got to get onto those grubs. You can't give the second set over to Porp, otherwise that's a massive advantage for Lions Creed. So it's fine to trade these first set, but it does mean you're very telegraphed in where you're going to be in the next 5 minutes' time.
Yeah, it's I'm going to call it the certified Season 14 classic. One jungler gets the first set of grubs, one gets the first Drake, and neither are too fussed about it. Yeah. Right now, the advantage still DMG held right now, about a K, and I'm going to imagine that a large chunk of that is on towards Mikey, towards the bottom side. Already got the tier 2 boots picked up, which of course, so big for Kalista to have, because the movement speed also affects her dash speed.
We're just going to go straight
all
out.
Is looking for the all-out. No needlework here for Azir Kaiser. Has to get away from that one. The chase forward still there. Bust going to keep on landing those grasp procs, and it brings Dongshui towards the top side as well. Porp is nearby. I think Bust will just let the all-out timeout go back to a fairly standard lane state. Porp might find himself in a rough spot as Pighead lands the handshake onto Heathen. Unfortunately, the follow-up isn't quite there from Pure. Won't be able to land the stun.
Possible that Porp wants to look for a gank onto the mid lane right now.
Flashes up on the TF. QQR can look in though. Using the E first, not usually what you like to do. Flashes forwards. The flash will be used from Pure as well, but Porp will be able to lock that one down. Just knew that, I guess, preemptively. Was like, I'm fine. Like, my flash for his flash and getting the kill. More than worth it. Spark, though, has to flash away. Heathen going to try and provide some body blocking, but the Ignite, the Ren stacks. And that's another one for Mikey. The Exhaust doesn't do a damn thing. Still looking, still lurking. As Azir Kaiser going super low topside. Bust oversteps it, though, and the needlework plus the tower will do what's needed to secure the kill.
Does this feel like hubris to you? Does this feel a little bit like looking past an opponent? Lions Creed, they just are not playing their cleanest League of Legends right now. We know how good this team can be. They play a chaotic style that falls behind in the early game all the time, and so I'm not going to be surprised if they do turn it around later on. But still, you can't play this disrespectfully up against teams that are beginning to find their footing. You've given 2 kills over to Kalista. That is huge. It's just going to get stronger and stronger. Once that first item, especially once that second item comes in for Shy, that's the point, sorry, for Mikey, that's the point at which you are in such a strong position and can really take over a game. And it feels like they're not respecting the Ren stacks, you know? The Heather was like, I've got loads of health, but he's got stack after stack of the Ren right in him. And it's just gonna take you out if you don't start playing back a little bit and accepting that your team gets stronger later on. Don't overforce it right now.
No, right now, the gold lead is growing in favor of DMG, up to about 1.5k right now. Dongdre is going to find Heathen towards the bot side of the map. Nothing really to fight over, so it'll just be a control ward secured, and then everybody going, you know, stepping away like nothing really happened. And the trades continue to come through towards the top side. It is, at the moment at least, Azir Kaiser that has the better of them, but of course, the more MR that Bust is able to secure, and of course the faster he's able to move to dodge away from the center of the snip sips, that matchup can flip over very quickly.
Yeah, it really can. You are in such a good position right now as this Gwen, but the K'Sante,
you know who isn't,
will just keep getting... Yeah, do not get any closer. Bot lane, just gonna step away. That was exactly what they needed to do. Spark and Heathen weren't gonna be in a good spot by sticking around. We've got the Drake in about a minute's time. First one was picked up by DMG. If they can start stacking with these, that's a definite win condition.
Well, gotta be a little bit careful. Dongdre will be able to land both halves of the Winter's Wrath on him. Instead, he's just gonna go in with the Tiamat, help get that mid push for QQR, would allow them to roam in towards this one, but right now as well, Porp looking more towards the chickens as Pighead gets flung forwards by Mikey. Spark is able to dodge away the Encore, only catching on to Pighead, and that is going to be another set of stacks, another set of spears cleaned off by the Kalista. Mikey gets his third.
Really fascinating right now that Dongjue has decided he doesn't want these scrubs. He's going to go over all 6 to Porp, all 6 to Lionscreed, and is happy to trade it for just power in his bot lane, and I don't necessarily disagree.
It's working out nicely. Pighead manages to catch Spark out of the teleport with the handshake as well. And this lead in the bot lane, I don't know if we can have a look at the gold production right now. I imagine that a vast majority of the gold difference in this game is just specifically sat on Mikey's shoulders. He's well on his way towards a first item completion. Heathen, you can step forward all you like, but Porp is on the other side of the map. There you go, 1.4k. Sat solely on Mikey.
That's huge. Mikey is so huge right now.
Heathen,
He's stepping up. Why?
You know
Why are you stepping up in this situation?
Alright, Spark will be able to support. Heathen has to burn the flash, though, which of course now leaves this Maokai in a very vulnerable spot. However, QQR does have the package available, and Mikey, quite low, does have the flash available. Dongjue will be able to spot this one out. Porp coming down as well. Gonna have to try and find this one out. Pighead dropping low. There will be the bailout onto Mikey. QQR dropping low. Dongjue will take him down. The follow-up of Pure coming down with the Destiny. Mikey and Pighead so low, but stepping forwards to defend their tower. They will have to give up 2 plates, but they do not die. DMG lose nobody in the play, and they pick up another one.
There was so much threat. Oh, hang on.
Spoke to you soon.
Okay, Pighead does end up going down. That does now leave Pure in a little bit of a risky position. He's just going to have to back out. And this is a pretty big swing in terms of gold. This is good from Lionscreed. Attack the weakness. Try to get yourself a little bit back.
Flash from Porp does not land. The wind becomes lightning. Onto Pure, and in goes Dongjue. Stun onto the Heathen. And that'll be the kill traded back. A lot of plates went down, which is nice. Gold going towards Spark is very important at this point in the game when you're so far behind on this Seraphine. But DMG, they still bite back.
Yeah, just missing out. Porp nearly managed to get a big kill shut down onto Mikey, but just was getting Ren stack pumped into him. Wasn't able to keep stepping up. Had to back out in that situation.
Yeah, good
Despite
luck.
the fact it was Lionscreed getting aggressive, they ended up losing out overall on that play.
Yeah, and good luck aggressing on Mikey at this point, as Pure will find the stun to QQR, forces out the flash, but still gets caught. The Ignite coming down, the red card will land in. Nature's Grasp, however, coming forwards, but looking for the angle in, isn't able to find his prey so easily. There will be the all-out onto Pure. Flash not available. The Twisted Fate will get taken down. That will be a first kill for the Cassante, but that's only in trade for QQR right now, and Mikey is ripping this bot lane tower to shreds.
Getting loads of plates, so is top laner Zerkaiser also having a really good game. DMG coming alive in this game, but I feel like we have to mention that Lionscreed have been behind in a ton of their games, and they have yet to lose one. So despite the fact if this was any other team name plates off, I'd be all in on DMG's chances of winning this one. Lionscreed unfortunately just have that magic in them sometimes. Will it run out today though, because they've put themselves in a significant deficit.
Yeah, they are now just shy of 3k in the hole, pre-14 minutes. We're just about to see the plates drop. And yeah, okay, you've got the grubs, but you did not convert it into gold when you had the 5 or so minutes that you could do that.
Yeah. Haven't, and you've now managed to give over a fully completed Bork to Mikey already. Probably going to be going towards the Runans next, and at that point could just shred through whatever is in his face.
Yeah, I feel like you just don't kill him if Pighead's like anywhere nearby.
Oh, this could be good for Lionscreed though.
Looking for the angle. Will land, the wind becomes lightning onto Pure. No stun available. The knockup comes through, and the TF will be deleted. It is a pickup of the Herald for DMG, but the chase down from Lionscreed Academy may still be there. Azir Kaiser going so very low, sticking around, but QQR just about able to take it down. Flash is already down from Dongjue. He needs to try and make sure that he can get away from Porp. Porp positioning himself so he can't land the blast cone. However, the bailout comes from Pighead, and it's Porp who now finds himself out of position. QQR going to try and put the damage through. Dongjue so low, but he will not drop. That was like 5 health, by the way. Sticks alive, and the main advantage that we see for Lionscreed Academy, Spark, left alone towards the bottom side, did not participate in that play, is able to secure the first brick.
Really nice plays right there. Lionscreed, they managed to pick themselves up just a little bit more gold. The first turret,
QQR is feeling a little bit frisky. Wants to
Does
make
he win
Pure
this?
feel the pain that he felt, and yeah, that's a storm of rockets will do it. Pighead, however, on the way down. Dongjue also looking for the way in. The handshake will land, as will the hostile takeover. QQR still on the run. There's no glacial prison. He realizes he's not going to be able to get out. Dongjue will be able to secure his second of the game and an 800 goal shutdown to boot.
I know that we're talking about Mikey a lot in this game, but I think we need to give more credit over to Pighead, because Pighead has been getting some of these handshakes beautiful. It's not easy to get early kills by yourself as a... Hang on, top lane.
All out. No needle work right now for Razek Kaiser. It's about to come back up. Misses the Q3. They're still on the chase, though. One more auto would do it. The slow from the needle work might just be his salvation. That and the Conqueror and the Ghost just about gets the Gwen out of there. Porp needs to step away. The Drake is up and available. It would be sole point for DMG UK if they are able to pick it up. Spark coming into the mid lane. QQR still a little ways away. I think he must have backed for package. I have to assume that's the reason you would have gone back at that timing. Everyone steps away for a second. No package.
No package. Okay.
However, Lions Creek Academy now do have the position in the river right now, and it seems like DMG are going to say, you know what, it's all right. You can have one, Drake. We'll let you have one.
I mean, after you pick up the first two, that's the benefit of that. You don't have to panic. You're not in a position where you're all of a sudden going to be losing soul early on. Lions Creed had to full commit to try to pick themselves up this Drake. They've managed to do so. That's good. It's beginning to stabilize out onto the gold lead. Only about 2,000, so the complete canyon that was beginning to open up has been brought back, but still, you've got Mikey, Pighead, and Dongjue who are in exceptionally strong positions. At the same time, though, this Corki, QQR easily, I think, our best mid laner, has been popping off in this game.
Had a riff, like, let's not forget, had a fairly rough, very early game. Died a couple of times, got himself that killing spree, however, before dropping for that third time. But yeah, we have seen QQR perform time and time and time again. This Corki has been pretty much his bread and butter throughout this split. So, looking to him to make things happen. He is the one that is definitely in the best position on Lions Creed Academy to do that. And, I mean, you've got a team that's also well designed for it. You've got Bust, Porp, and Heathen, who later in the game are just going to be like slabs of meat for the Corki to fire over.
Absolutely. You can really see who Lions Creed Academy think that their best player is. They're not wrong in putting that much faith into QQR, but still, it does mean that if QQR doesn't perform, if he steps out of position, if he packages in the wrong direction a little bit, gets caught out, all of that power, all of this composition that you've built around QQR falls apart without that main damage threat. You're in a good position. You've got yourself that first item completed, well on the way to a second. So
as well.
Yeah, you're in a good spot, but you know, it's risky. Anyway, Rift Herald going to be going down into the mid lane. DMG going to pick themselves up another turret. Potential fight here.
Some damage coming forwards. QQR will be able to land a nice rocket for a little bit of first strike gold in the pocket. Right now we're waiting. Baron's coming up in a minute 15. Don't feel like either team is in any real position to take that. As you say, Pure does take down that last tier 1 turret in the bottom lane. Now we see Lions Creed Academy looking to be the ones to try and set something up. TP's coming forwards. It's Bust that is going to be the target. Porp, rather. Bust towards the mid lane as the Gwed trying to open up. And that's a fantastic encore from Spark. Lands onto 3. And DMG, they have to run for their hills. Mikey dropping so low. And the bailout will not save you, my son. Pighead is able to get out with the Fate's Call. And at the drop of a hat, she steps off the stage for a second. But Spark, back with the encore, finds the fight. And that is a turnaround and a half for Lions Creed Academy.
Well, where have we seen this before? Lions Creed like just decide to win a fight. Games. Yeah, like, they just keep doing it. Oh, hang on, Heathen.
Heathen dropping low, but the healing is there. You've got Spark right next to him. You've got the sap magic. It's really quite tough if you've not got Mikey there to take down this Maokai. Meanwhile, QQR finds the Solar Bolo on the side lane. Pure is going for the AD build. We didn't actually touch on that, but has just hit onto his second item. The Wit's End is going to do quite a lot in future trades against QQR. Will it be enough, though, now that he's got Triforce and the Muramana completed? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried that I might have overlooked the Lions Creed buff, which is at a certain point, around 20 minutes time, they just decide they want to win these games. It's worked for them 7 times, maybe shouldn't have been doubting them in this 8th.
And
I mean, DMG, they had such a good early game.
They did. They had a fantastic early game. It was just that one fight. They get a little bit too hyphy, perhaps. And Spark is able to find the phenomenal encore across them. Now, QQR is very much in a strong position. Has the 2 items completed. Did just pick up boots. He was umming and ahhing for a second there. Ended up not going for the Sork boots. Instead, looking towards the tenacity. So realizes how much is at stake if he gets CC'd.
Yeah, absolutely. Just cannot get locked down. Needs to keep himself alive for as long as possible. And it's also going to help in the 1v1s versus Pure, because Pure is really the only actual threat to him when he's playing in the backline. You're not really expecting to come face to face with the Kalista. Obviously, you know, AP damage is not really what's being built right now for Pure, but still, there's enough that you pump out as a TF. You have to just be careful in this situation. QQR is understanding the weight at the moment, how much faith has been put into him right now. I want to also mention, though, that encore from Spark was huge, and despite the fact it was just a Seraphs and Moonstone at that point, Seraphine, that was a ton of damage.
Yeah, you split it across the whole team. That's going to be some real numbers, and, of course, the supportive build as well. We've now got Archangels, Staff of Flowing Water, and the Moonstone, so we are full aboard just the Health Well Seraphine, keeping these beefy frontliners alive so QQR can do his job.
You've got to just be that beefy frontline, sit in and hope that your carries are going to be able to do enough.
I mean, they're both very tanky. Not much danger either way. DMG, however, are going to completely ignore this next Drake spawn. I'll let Lions Creed Academy pick that one up. There was a second where they might have been considering some sort of Baron play, but I mean, Bust was there. We're seeing the TP coming in towards the mid lane here. Heathen, Spark, able to get out. The stun card was not there. Bust being aggressed upon by Azir Kaiser as well. Dropping very, very low. Trying to step away, but the snip will do the trick as Heathen goes forwards. Mikey dropping so low. Bailout did manage to come through as Heathen went down, but QQR is able to secure that kill back. At the end of the day, it's a 2-for-1 in favor of DMG, but it still feels like the tempo is with Lions Creed Academy.
It does, but you've now got a big problem in the top lane. Azir Kaiser still pushing up here, has got that demolish as well. Going to be able to take out this turret. Is being collapsed upon, though. How do you get out of this one?
Theoretically, the answer should be you don't. That said, you can just walk towards the mid lane where your teammates are pushing in right now. Pure is going to spot in. There is the attempt towards the escape. Gwen is immune for a moment. No ghost available, though. The chase down will be there. QQR picks up his 7th of the game, and yeah, the tier 2 turret did go down, but as I was saying, feels like the tempo didn't really shift back towards DMG at all, in spite of that solo kill.
Look at these pings all over the Baron. You've still got the jungler up and available, but without the top laner, it is a much weaker DMG that you are up against. They're going to start up the Baron. Big push in the mid lane, though.
Yeah, they've got to shove out the mid lane. Pure does not have the ultimate available. Is just trying to clear out the wave. It looks as though DMG are really umming and ahhing as to whether they want to step in here. There is no dangerous grasp for Heathen, so Dongshui does very much need to be kept at arm's length. Handshake will drop onto the Maokai. All of the stuns going onto the Maokai. He will get taken down, but the fight now starts in earnest. Pure gets taken down by Buster TP. Again, but the hostile takeover is immense from Pighead. The chase down from DMG might just be it. The healing Spark is putting out is not enough. They are split apart. They are taken down one by one. Azir Kaiser trying to chase forwards will get the final kill onto QQR on Lions Creed Academy. They looked for a second like they were about to take this game fully back into their hands, and DMG, they rip it out of them.
You know what you need to take a sneaky Baron? You need an AD carry who does damage to it. Only QQR was able to do anything really to the Baron. It meant it was incredibly slow, despite the fact that Dongdre was back in base, was able to walk his way back to that fight. Same thing for Azir Kaiser, was dead to start out on that fight. They wait long enough as well to make sure Pure is able to pick up that Baron, and that's now 5 members of DMG with a Baron buff, and Lions Creed Academy all of a sudden look to be possibly on the brink of losing their first game this split.
They are at a 6k disadvantage right now. And I wanted just to highlight the fact that they waited for Pure, the person that they have been sending to the side lanes to match up against QQR. Now, this Corki can't just shove waves with impunity because they are Baron empowered, and we are at the point now where Pure also has the rapid fire cannon available, so stuns can be thrown at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, you're not... Oh, hang on. Oh, Pure's in a bit of a sketchy spot right now. Pure about to be collapsed upon by 3 members.
Got some numbers in the bot lane right now. He's trying to make his way out. Flash already down.
He's good.
He is just about able to make it out. Bust and Spark have been left in the mid lane to try and stop this push. They are just about able to do so for now, but they might need to worry about getting collapsed upon. Azekaiser waiting off to the side, looking for a potential angle. As Porp, now coming around, will spot out the Gwen. She ends up walking underneath her as comes through. The Encore will land onto Mikey, but cleanses out immediately. Bust will be able to step away. Both of those big AoE ultimates not so terribly impactful. Porp gets hit by the handshake, but again, not going to matter all that much. Meanwhile, Pure going to put that damage down onto the inhibitor turret. And when you've got that much attack speed, you can now be bopping around the map. Destiny's to the mid lane, gets that tier 2 turret. There's 40 seconds for the next Drake. The map is looking pretty damn bare of wards for the most part.
Yeah.
As I say that, DMG puts more down.
Finally gonna place a couple, head back to base, grab a load more. This next Drake gonna be pretty impactful. It decides who gets the soul point, who's in a good position to control the tempo of the game. And just think there's a couple of things going wrong for Lions Creed right now. Their objective take is slow because of the composition that they've drafted for themselves. They're not able to catch onto Pure, and in these team fights, Pighead's landing big ults, and Mikey is just weaving his way through the backline, not taking a lot of damage and dealing a ton himself. It doesn't look like a lot from the Kalista until all of a sudden that rend comes through and everybody gets shredded through. The rend also means you can take these objectives much easier, so DMG are just in a better position now that we've got into this mid to late game.
QQR with the package comes on through towards the backside, dropping a lot of damage. However, Mikey deletes him, and the chase is now here. DMG UK, they're on the rundown. Heathen gets stunned up with the permafrost. Pighead will pick that one up. Glacial Prison lands onto Porp. He does not have the Crescent Guard available. Bailout onto Azir Kaiser as well. And Lions Creed Academy, they are being picked apart. The pride is falling as Pure TPs in towards the backside as well. Runs in, rather. Doesn't have either of the TPs available right now. But they're going to shove this one in. They can look to break open the base, or just as good, they can step on back and get themselves soul point.
This looked like such a prototypical Lions Creed Academy game. They fall behind early, they snap their fingers, win a team fight, and then sail through that team fight into a victory. Except that's not been the case. They've had a roadblock put in their path as DMG seem to just keep stepping up, finding their fight. And sure, they managed to get onto Mikey in that fight, but they lose so much more for it. Soul point now going over to DMG. And with only 2.5 minutes until the next Baron, that could be the objective DMG needs to actually close out this game, continue their little win streak they've got themselves, just beat out Nuclear Vikings the previous day, and maybe head into this second round robin in a much better position than they went into the first.
We've seen this. The redemption arcs have come through for quite a lot of our struggling teams. DMG UK now on the up and up. Paragon on the up and up as well. We'll see them later today, repeating their day one bout against the Nuclear Vikings. But we can talk about them when we get to them, because DMG UK are this close to handing Lions Creed Academy their first L of the split. Day one, after their day one match, who would have said that?
Nobody. They got dismantled. They got absolutely leveled, and it looked like DMG didn't really know what to do. Sure, they've made some roster
has
changes.
To flash away immediately, as a Kaiser will not be able to chase down. Again, cooldowns being burned. There's Baron coming up in a minute 30, and now Corki is flashless and will not have package.
Nope, you're in a really good position again as DMG. They're going to keep pushing forwards, pick themselves up another one of these tier 2 turrets, more and more gold into their back pockets. They're up by about 9,000 at this point, well on the way to that 10k advantage that feels almost insurmountable. A small part of me still believes that Lions Creed might be able to pull something out, but I don't know where that something is. It requires a massive encore, 4 item hits onto this Seraphine means that there is a possibility there, but the damage is just so much better. The damage profile of DMG, you have so many more threats that you have to worry about. You just need to look at QQR and worry about him when you're facing up against this Lions Creed comp.
And you say 4-item Seraphine, but it's a 4-item support build Seraphine.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, in a carry sense, Moonstone and Staff of Flowing Water do not combine to make a full damage item.
No. No, they do not. You can deal a decent chunk if you hit a big Encore. Those spells stack up to quite a lot of damage eventually, but keyword eventually, I don't know if you have that much time. Azir Kai'Sa, whenever he gets onto anybody, doesn't matter if they're tanky or squishy, just shreds straight through. That's the joys of this big AP Gwen. And it gets to the point where you don't know which target to focus out. Every time they try to get on top of Mikey because he was the big threat early, it seems like somebody else steps up, lays down the damage, and wins the fight for DMG.
You're currently pushing in the bottom lane. All 5 members of Lions Creed Academy, they know that Baron is likely to be a death sentence for them, but they now will need to, they have this ticking clock. They have this Twisted Fate pushing in the bottom lane. They have to send somebody to stop him. QQR and Bust, they both have TP available. It seems like QQR will be the one sent down to deal with this push. Pure is out-leveling at this point in the game. We'll see if the 1v1 is really going to come through, but with QQR now indefinitely committed to the act of defending bot lane, DMG can walk up to the Baron.
Both of them do have teleport, so let's see. This is going to be the deciding team fight. Who manages to land that big AoE ult? Which of the supports is able to do so? Okay, just going to back off is DMG.
Yeah, they step away for a second. They're even going to drop a redemption for a little bit of potential damage onto Lions Creed Academy. But again, this is DMG testing the patience of Lions Creed Academy. Just making sure it's like, oh, are you here? Oh, are you here? Oh, are you ready for what we're going to do here? Oh, you're ready? All right, cool, chill. No, don't worry. Oh, no, we weren't doing anything. Why do you ask?
Just, stand there, chilling, not trying to get anything too much done. Lions Creed, they do make the correct play. They shove through the mid wave to force DMG away from the position that they were sat in. But it's really well played out of Pure right here. The second that he doesn't see all of the members of Lions Creed Academy, he backs right off. He was stood right up against the base walls. Immediately steps back, does not get himself caught out, because getting a catch onto any of the key members of DMG right now is absolutely the way that Lions Creed get themselves back into this game. The only thing with this delay that we've seen right here is that we're going to end up with the Baron and the Drake spawning at the same time. DMG, they're in a better spot to choose which one they want. Either or gives them a big spike, whereas Lions Creed Academy, you kind of can't afford to give up either of these objectives.
It's going to be the impossible choice. They have set up decent vision towards the top side of the rift, but it looks like the Drake, the Soul, will be the point of contention here. QQR just coming out of base right now. Will join up with Heathen in the mid lane. And yeah, as you say, DMG, they make Lions Creed Academy make this choice. They're going to start up the Baron again. Pure now pushing the top lane, waiting for something to happen, waiting for the Destiny to be available. Nature's Grasp coming out from Heathen. It looks like Lions Creed Academy, they want to make something happen. Dongshui is the only one who gets caught by it. In the meantime, there is the turret going down in the top lane. QQR now being chased down. You go in first. Mikey, dropping so very low, is able to go, but look at Pure in the base right now. It's a 4v5, but DMG, they are holding on long enough as Pure breaks open the base. We see recalls coming through. Heathen trying to get out, but the remaining members of DMG UK are holding them at bay. It's only Heathen left. A TP now coming through back towards the base. It is Spark coming back to defend, but this Twisted Fate is big enough to take down both of them. The Seraphine drops, the TP coming through. Heathen is going to get ripped to shreds, felled by all of these cars as the TPs come through. In fact, the TP from Pure to get Port, the final disgrace as Lions Creed Academy are handed their first defeat of spring.
Pure just styling at the end. That was styling on
that was pure disrespect. Utter disrespect.
And DMG deserve to lay their disrespect down right there in that situation. You beat the undefeated squad. You start off your second round of this round robin with a victory like that, you deserve to style on them, and what a game it was. I had questions about that composition out of Lions Creed going into the game, and I feel like a lot of my fears were brought true. I think QQR did a great job of trying to be that carry, and there were good moments from the rest of the squad, but there were so many more carry threat options that DMG had. They could play around where was strong in the moment. Early, they played around that Kalista who was popping off, and then they transitioned into playing around the Gwen and the TF who started to come online a little bit later on. Just, so good.
And at the end of the day, it's, okay, Lions Creed Academy, we're about to take our second Baron. You're going to have to stop us. Psych!
Psych.
To your base. Yeah, Pure is just like, aha, another successful heist.
So good. I mean,
if this were a win against any other team, I think, I would say good game from DMG. Mid-game, there were a couple of jitters, a couple of worrying moments. Lions Creed Academy were that close to coming back in, but then they're the ones who make the fumble, start off the Baron, and DMG fantastically punish it perfectly. They take the game fully back into their hands, and they held it so tight that I feel like their knuckles are white and they never let it go.
Absolutely. There's something about watching good map play, good decision making, Pure stepping up onto the bot lane really far up, threatening onto that turret, forcing QQR to come join him down in the bot lane while his team threatens onto Baron. His team have to back away from Baron, he immediately leaves. They go back onto Baron and he's like, right, my bot lane is already shoved up, there's not really anything I could do there, I'll go top lane, keep pushing it out, and the team fight dissolves into absolute chaos, but it doesn't matter, and I don't think that DMG as a squad take that fight if they don't have a TF running it through in the base. There's a lot to be said for AD versus APTF. ADTF is definitely a bit stronger at the moment, but there's no questions when it comes to how quickly you get to take towers. When you're playing ADTF, you shred through those objectives, and was just able to get into the base so quickly, and then the second that Azir Kais is able to get away, you just get onto that Nexus as well, take it out, and a well-deserved victory for DMG.
Yeah, absolutely. And their up and up swing continues rolling. Huge win for them. Lions Creed Academy now been shown to bleed as we look towards our second game of the day. Venom Crest Serpents going up against Belfast Storm. After a short break, as production has just said in my ear, we'll be back in a sec. And welcome back, as we are joined by another spectator for game number 2. Very excited for this game between the Venom Crest Serpents and Belfast Storm, as you can tell. Isn't that right, Beck? See, he's so hype.
Hype.
Well, let's call it back. Because week 1, day 1, which is, today is kind of the redux of Venom Crest absolutely blasted Belfast Storm. It was an utter demolition, in fact. How are we feeling about the team's current trajectories coming to this rematch?
I feel like okay, on the side of Venom Crest, things are looking a little bit different, because they had that 5-0, they were looking real good, and then all of a sudden...
They were?
Losing to Lions Creed, not the end of the world. Obviously, we did just see Lions Creed lose their first game, but there were some issues with, I think, Lions Creed's draft, the way they were playing, a couple of iffy situations. So fine, you lose to Lions Creed, whatever, you bounce back in the next game. Except you don't. You lose to Ruddy. Obviously Ruddy is also one of our better squads, 5-2 themselves as well, so sat in a good position, but at the same time you're like, is this
it sounds to me then
what's happening?
Sounds to me that this is the real yardstick for have Venom Crest fallen off, or were they just sort of toppled by the other high table
teams? Yeah, absolutely. If they lose here, then it's a problem with Venom Crest themselves, I'd say. If they win here, they just go, okay, so we need to work on some things to beat the top tier teams, but we're still fine. We're still going to be in a good position to get ourselves into playoffs. Start of the second round robin, begin again. If you end up winning all 5 games and then you lose the last 2 right before playoffs, it feels a little bit bad, but I don't think it's the end of the world. You certainly still make the dance, and once you get into playoffs, anything can happen. Belfast Storm, though, I think they're still really struggling. They've changed around. They now have Dunlosi in the jungle. Obviously, we don't have Doctor here to give us a little rant about the guy, but
rants.
whatever Doctor thinks, Dunlosi's a really good play. He's more of a carry jungler in a way that they previously didn't have, but it doesn't seem to have changed the fortunes of this team entirely. I think it's very hard for a carry jungler to come into a team and completely change the way that they're playing, because if your lanes are losing, your lanes are losing. As a jungler, there's very little you can do. You can try to influence a couple of them, but you can't be everywhere all of the time, and especially in the current patch, this new season where you've got the grubs and the drakes and everything spawning at the start, there's very little time to actually try to get a gank off, so it's tricky. It is tricky.
So I heard in the off game from production that we have a very spicy draft for this game. And so, much as we can speculate, I want to see what these teams were cooking as we get on in towards this second game of the day. Okay. That is a draft from the Venomcrest Serpents.
Yep. That's one way to turn your fortunes around.
How are you reading this then? Because obviously we could have Senna as a carry or a support. The way I'm reading this, correct me if you think I'm wrong. We've got Kennen in top, Zac in the jungle, Yasuo mid, and then Senna Maokai, probably with Senna farming, because I don't think Maokai as hugely benefits from the full fasting style.
Yeah, I think that's where things should be going. I mean, I think production could confirm for us if that's where things are sat. That's a wild
we'll find
draft.
out when we get into game. It's all good.
It's a completely wild draft. I mean, if that is where things are sat, I keep saying it, I don't love the Zac
I have some concerns.
Tanky junglers, and Sejuani's a big tanky jungler.
I have some concerns. Kennen, a champion that lacks a dash, relies upon hard crowd control, and his only form of escape is a movement speed steroid into an Olaf.
Yes. It's not a great matchup. You can come out ahead of this matchup. It's not the end of the world. You just have to space really effectively, and you've got to be really good at dodging those undertows. It's a bit of a skill matchup, and then you're really relying on the fact that once we get to team fights, you're just more impactful. You're going to be able to do better things, which has the potential of working. Venomcrest are really good at team fighting. That's easily their best trait as an overall team. So I'm not terrified for it in the same way I would be perhaps if we were looking at a different squad, but still a draft that's completely out of left field. The sort of things that Venomcrest like to play is Renekton's and Gwen's and Cassante's in the top lane. This is
a very different look for
indicates
Genji.
This. It really is. It's a completely different look. Whereas Belfast, it feels pretty standard. The only thing that's a little bit wild, I'd say, is just going to be the Olaf in the top lane. Belfast, they like to put a lot of power into the bot lane. Lucian, Milio, there's Dravens being banned all the time, picked up whenever it's available, but that style hasn't worked for them yet. Maybe you need to play around a different lane. Maybe top lane is where you need to look.
Possibly. Now, a cursed plat brain thought came into my head, and that's... What if you put the Zac in top, Maokai in the jungle, and then you have Senna Kennen bot lane, which would be which would be, I don't think, that much more odd than the first iteration we were talking about.
If we're doing that, you could put the Kennen mid lane. Just give yourself a Senna Yasuo bot lane. That could be pretty aggressive into Illusion. I think we might be cooking a bit too hard.
Speculation, and I think we might be trying a little bit too hard to figure out what these drafts are and where they're going. When I can do this, and give it a couple of seconds, there's internet, and we can just get on into the next game.
Let's actually see where these things are at.
Thanks, production.
Speculation is...
They got my back.
Speculation is useless when we can have a look at where things are. Yep. We were right initially.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a shame. It would have been so fun to have seen things around.
Much as cooking is funny. We are on to the Rift for the second game of the day. Venomcrest Serpents having a rough time recently, losing to Lions Creed Academy, losing to the Ruddy Painkillers. They need to get their turn of form back in order, and it may be time for them to do so up against Belfast Storm, all 5 members of whom are making their way towards bot side. Afribi will be able to spot this one out. The ward will be cleared. That was a little bit
scary.
Yeah. Ward gets cleared, but the invade is dissuaded.
Ward gets cleared out by Dunlosi in that situation, and it's such a small thing, but I actually quite dislike.
Oh, never mind. They're doing it again. Looking towards...
Oh, good dodge.
Yeah, good sidestep on the undertow. Bulbasaur doing just fine for themselves.
Come on, let me make my really niche, tiny point. Stop invading. Get out, Belfast. They're still looking.
They're still there.
They're still there. Don't step up. Just go back to your lane. Chill. It's fine. This is going to waste a lot of time.
I mean, Bartholdi is starting towards top, so that's all right. Roskilde steps in. Not going to spot anything out. There's a ward on the chickens for the Venom Crest Serpents.
Alright, straight up going to be
Blue
an
Vision,
invade.
there is a ping. Comes straight in. Dunlosi
Yep.
has been spotted on the red buff. We can see that Timur and Momo are here towards the bottom side, so they will provide a little bit of a leash for Dunlosi that will get him just that tiny bit ahead in clear. And we are onto what looks like a split map.
Straight up going to be a split map situation, Dunlosi going to be controlling the bottom side. We saw in the previous game how giving up all 6 grubs doesn't necessarily mean you straight up lose the game. It can still keep you in a pretty good spot as long as you work around that bot lane. And it is a really strong bot side to work around. The Lucian Milio can be incredibly strong, and it comes online much earlier on than a Senna Maokai. Senna Maokai are good in team fights, but they're not great. Not in the way that this
Marital
is. Look at this
Strife
damage.
in the bottom lane as Momo puts a whole chunk into Afribi's health bar. Going to have a decent amount of sustain, though, of course. With the Piercing Darkness, with the Fleet Footwork, has heal also. So it's a decent chunk, and of course we knew that this was going to be the losing side of this matchup in the early levels. So
you don't have to worry about being ganked at all. That's the joys of having a split map situation. You know exactly who can step up and who can't. But also, as a bot lane, you know you're not going to get the level 2 first as a freebie and Bulbasaur, so you can't step up in that situation. Instead, they lost a ton of health. It doesn't result in any summoner spells going down. Nobody loses their life, so it's not the end of the world. But still, I think it was a little bit too aggressive out of Venom Crest bot lane. Same again.
Meanwhile, all the damage dropping. A freebie does not use the heal just yet, though. Honestly, I know I would have used just immediately.
Yeah.
Use the heal.
I'd have used it in the previous fight. Like
solid,
my heal
solid
would be
nerves
gone.
From the Venom Crest Servants AD carry. Fastlegged will be able to help keep the wave just a little bit away from the turret right now. Meanwhile, Roskilde really trying to put the hurt towards Limsey, is able to land the Steel Tempest as well. Looking towards topside, Kenji, Shin, sort of chilling out really.
Yeah.
Kenji is got the cull, so we know, isn't really going to want to try and put this Olaf in the dirt early. Don't think he would have been able to if he tried, honestly. So just scale that one up for now. Bartholdi comes through towards the bottom side of the map. Does actually, isn't doing a little bit better in terms of farm. There is the gank in. A freebie has to flash away. First blood is secured by Momo, though it'll be traded back. Bartholdi will pick that one up. The pressure pays off somewhat for the Belfast Storm. The wave can't be pushed all the way into the turret by Venom Crest right now. Shin, level 4 to Kenji's 5, stepping forwards, gets stunned up. I don't think he gets out of this one. The healing is good. That said, goes forward. One more auto goes out from Kenji. The final one of those kunai flies will be able to secure the kill. Shin made it close, though. Made it real close.
Made it really close, but the second that Shin missed that undertow while he was chasing Kenji back towards his turret, you have to step away.
That's go time. That's runaway time.
Yeah. You've won your trade. You've bullied out the poor little rat in the top lane, abandoned that situation, step back, live for another day, but really believed in the fact that he'd blown the flash, blown the ghost, has all of those heals and shields that you get off of being an Olaf, but you're not at that point where you are so strong. Once you have the level 6, maybe you can step up.
It was a level down as well, 5 to 4. Kenji coming back to lane, knows that the wave is pushed away from him, doesn't even need to commit the TP here.
Yep.
Fast light, put a little bit of damage down onto Timur here, but not really anything to write home about. I don't think the Emilio is going to be, running home crying to mama for that.
No, like you said, oh, hang on, we're going to get a bit of a Barney in this bot lane. Jungler's going to meet.
Is 5 to Bartholdi's 6, and I feel like this Zac is in a bare old heap of trouble. Stun comes through, is to try and step away. Does have Cell Division, of course, to try and keep himself topped up. Flash away. As Momo going to drop low. Fastlight gets caught by the Permafrost, and Limsey, as you say, roams down. Doesn't get the assist, unfortunately, but is at least there to play cheerleader as they pick up their second kill of the game.
Yeah, just gonna be pushing in for Roskilde, trying to just get something done in the mid lane as bot lane goes horribly wrong. And Bartholdi was just out of position there, so pushed up. And these are uncharacteristic mistakes for Venom Crest. Venom Crest as a team are usually so good at not making that kind of mistake.
Roskilde, though,
he's gonna get
now stepping out of mid lane, will find Dunlosi. The roam up from the bot lane is coming through, and Limsey roaming down as well. Roskilde might find himself in a bad spot, going in with the last breath, trying to dodge around, flashes away as Bartholdi comes forwards, stretching strike, lands onto one as the shockwave comes through, and there is the Cell Division. Roskilde now has to try and play bodyguard for his jungler. The stun comes through as Fastlight will be able to pick up Timur. Momo is running out as well. Freebie firing away, trying to pick this one up. A couple more hits would do it. Relentless Pursuit is the relentless retreat in this case. Limsey dropping low as well, but able to get out as the Belfast Storm. They only lose out one from that. Punished a little bit for their hubris, going for the Drake.
Yeah, big punishment right there. It could have been a lot worse, but jeez, that last embrace out of Aphrobi was so good. It landed onto 3 members. I think it was honestly a little bit int out of, I can't quite remember who it landed onto from Belfast, but they stepped up into 3 members, getting all 3 of them stunned down. If you are a little bit later on into the game when the Senna actually does damage, you just die in that situation. Obviously, you're not at that point. You do not lose as many members as you possibly could have, but Bartholdi playing with fire at the moment, but he's yet to really get burned.
Well, Cell Division is down for the next few minutes, though, so we'll have to be that little bit more careful on the Zac. Worth noting, something we didn't point out, Afribi is the one with the support item here, so is sharing farm with Fastlight, and I mean, it's a Maokai. Sharing farm is fine. It's like one of the lowest eco characters you can possibly have in the entire game.
He's not going to be in too bad of a position, and picking these up obviously gives extra souls over to your Senna, so it works overall. We've got a Drake and Grubs both available. It looks like Venom Crest going to head up towards these Grubs right now. Belfast going to trade themselves onto this Drake, and the split map continues. Belfast have this bottom side well and truly locked up. Kenji's actually got Shin pushed in, which is not something I was really expecting to see from this matchup. Like you were saying, it's pretty tricky. It's, it's not unplayable, certainly, for the Kennen. We saw a little bit of overaggression from Shin really well punished, but still, getting this much done in the top lane has got to feel real good.
Spidey senses tingling, potentially. Freebie is going to be able to walk back away from this one, and Fastlight.
There we go.
With the sapling, will spot out Dunlosi in the brush. Potential dive. Yeah, dive wasn't all that likely to come through, I don't think. But good that they keep keeping themselves safe for the time being. Roskilde trying to go aggressive. Shockwave coming through from Limsey is able to get away with the sweeping blade. Now Freebie and Bulbasaur gonna take a culling to the face, but in comes Fast-Legged, going for the kill. Momo so very low. Timur trying to chase down here. It's gonna be Fast-Legged that picks up the first kill, and that is Emilio. Not gonna do all that much damage. Dunlosi chasing in, will drop the Glacial Prison. I think it will be Fast-Legged that is the price that is paid for there. The Nature's Grasp keeps him alive for a moment. Timur went for the auto attack, but cancels the auto and flashes away empty-handed as something happened mid lane? No, nothing happened mid lane. Everything is fine in the mid lane. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually in awe of Bulbasaur getting away in that situation. I mean, give that man a Medal of Valor, because he was stepping up. He was fully committed to dying in that situation to keep his AD carry alive. And then just didn't. Just straight up managed to escape death. Knife's Edge, I think that was actually like 2 or 3 HP remaining. just crazy low. One auto attack absolutely would have made it, but Timur didn't manage to get that kill. And these little plays are huge. You cannot give Venom Crest over little bits like this. Sure, maybe they're not playing up to the heights that they used to be. Even in this game, I don't think they've been as clean as we've seen previously. But still, little advantages. This team knows how to play with them. They've got themselves about 1,000, nearly 1,500 gold advantage. And it's just going to get worse because this composition scales incredibly well. And the bot lane that was supposed to pop off and really carry you through the early game just isn't working out. The top lane, the Olaf that's supposed to be that big early game threat, isn't working out either.
Kenji,
yeah,
2
this
CS
is not
off a
good.
complete 30 CS, and Kenji is just about to finish the cull as well. So this is possibly 1,000 gold just there, as Limsey gets caught. Shockwave will prevent Roskilde from continuing to go forwards. Let's be quiet down once again. There it is. Kenji just finished the cull and is 1.3k up in this top lane.
That's huge. Absolutely just seismic difference in the top lane, and one of these champions scales a heck of a lot better than the other.
Shin's used Ghost.
Was that a fat finger?
I don't know, as Bartholdi going to try and step in. Dunlosey is able to secure the scuttle there. Jungler's just going to vie for position. It's 2 minutes until the next Drake. Nothing all that much
I just want to be around here. Bartholdi is so spotted. He's on so many wards.
Ultra Fire Kick.
It doesn't matter.
Forwards at the catch. The TP now coming out from Limsey to join the fray. Got to watch out for the Shockwave. Nature's Grasp catching on to 3 as the chase comes forwards. Dunlosey dropping the damage fast. Like will go down. Roskilde, however, will find the backline. Shockwave will be only onto the Yasuo. Bartholdi takes down Timur. Momo on the run. Roskilde still hitting. The culling will not be enough. Dunlosey will get dropped beneath his tower, and Bartholdi has the Soul Division back up. Venom Crest, they strike in the bottom lane and they come out with 4 bodies.
Yeah, they're only going to lose 1, and you don't mind going down in that situation at all as the Maokai. They're going to get a ton of turret plates in this bot lane as well, and I kept saying it, Bartholdi was on so much vision, but there just wasn't respect at all. It looked like Momo and Timur just didn't care that he was there. We see him, it's fine, it's fine. Bartholdi goes in, gets a couple of key knockups, and the most important one is obviously the key knockup that gives that last breath over. Yasuo comes flying in, manages to pick up a good couple of kills. Roskilde, who's had a relatively quiet early game, all of a sudden explodes onto the map, now has got a fully completed Kraken Slayer as well. So these carries are beginning to come online, and the early game that was a little bit shaky out of Belfast is just getting worse and worse.
Now we look towards the mid game. There's not a huge number of plates actually taken over the map. In fact, a lot of them were in the bottom lane just after that last fight from Venom Crest. And we can see that's contributing to a roughly 3,000 gold advantage for them on the map right now. Timur looking potentially towards Roskilde, but it's going to be pretty difficult to lock down this Yasuo at the moment, and there was plenty of support waiting in the wings. We start to see first items coming through now. First item, Shadow Flame for Kenji, Knight's Vow for Bartholdi. I would love to know who that's gone on to. Belfast Storm, they will start up their second Drake, but it is going to be traded out by Venom Crest Serpents on the other side of the map.
Not unhappy with this trade once again.
Did Bartholdi try and go for... Hang on. Did Bartholdi try and go for grubs just before Shelly spawned?
I think so. I don't know how many of him he grabbed.
He didn't. No,
Any.
The answer is 0.
0. That's unfortunate. I mean, this game has been a little bit crazy. We're only 14 minutes in, and we've had a ton of kills. If you are able to pick up Shelly, that's going to be a nice little injection of gold if you're able to turn it into a turret, and Venom Crest is certainly in the best position to do so. They've got a good chunk of damage onto the top lane. Bot lane turret is very nearly dead too, so plenty of options to look to crack.
Already got 2 Drakes picked up by Belfast Storm. They are stacking up quite nicely. If Venom Crest Serpents slip up at all, especially on a mountain rift, you could find that these tankier members of Belfast Storm become too hard to kill. Shin, Dunlosey, being that unkillable front line, makes things a good chunk easier to execute going forwards.
I feel like when it comes to unkillable front lines, though, nothing is more annoying. Culling comes out, doesn't do too much, gets a little chunk of damage onto a freebie. Still, you're not going to be too worried about that one. No, I think in terms of unkillable front
this, by
lines,
the way?
I'm much... Yes, once we get to this point in the game and you give over a kill, I absolutely expect for Kenji to be able to take over this lane.
Alright, but I mean, looking in Champion Select at least.
Okay,
I don't think
no,
we were
looking
necessarily
at Champion Select,
expecting...
that initial kill shouldn't have happened. It was over-aggressive out of Shin. He threw his own lane, but Kenji was just happy to handshake this lane, to sit really far back. He could have a potential dive looking at bot lane.
Meanwhile, Kenji will be able to rack up that first turret of the game, but as you said, Venomcrest Serpents are looking for more. Timur gets pulled back. Good use of the Scryer's Bloom there for the stretching strike. And now, Momo and Timur have to play super careful because Afribi, Fast Leg looking in as well. There is the Nature's Grass coming forwards. Glacial Prison will come out. It is Fast Leg to have the tower aggro, and Bartholdi will be able to abscond as well. So, not able to pick up any kills here, but pressure applied. They still have Rift Herald in pocket as well. Looks like they're lurking. See if someone gets a little bit too greedy.
It's a really risky situation. If Dunlossi isn't there, you probably end up losing both of those kills bot lane. They could still do so. Zax over the wall.
Again, Last Embrace does land onto Timur. Decent chunk of damage. Bartholdi looking in, but not quite able to find it. Seemingly the Knight's Vow hasn't been used yet, by the way. Just Dunlossi finds his way through onto Afribi, but the follow-up is not there. Roskilde coming in as he drops down the last breath. The flash out from Momo will keep him alive for now. Dunlossi too tanky to deal with, it seems, as Limsey will join the fray as well. And yet again, nobody dies. And Knight's Vow has just been applied. It has just been applied. Who's it been applied to?
This is really key. Who do you think is
Roskilde.
your main carry?
It would make sense for it to be Roskilde.
I would like it onto Roskilde in this situation because Bartholdi and Roskilde have been really good right now. That slingshot directly into the last breath seems to be the best engaged tool available. The fact that nobody died in that bot lane play is pretty crazy too. Dunlossi is really just...
Okay.
It's a freebie.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Makes sense.
Fair enough.
You want to keep this center safe with the Dawning Shadow and the Piercing Darkness. You are able to provide so much utility as Limsey. Off camera, finds the solo kill onto Roskilde, and yeah, you cannot be making mistakes like that.
I mean, obviously, brilliant play onto Limsey. You've got to be really happy about that one. But you shouldn't be in a situation to die as Roskilde. You cannot be giving those up, because this Orianna has the ability to take over a game. You have to be in a better position as a Yasuo. You're on a much riskier champion. You give a lot less to your team than an Orianna can with that shockwave. So you cannot be stepping up in that situation, dying in a 1v1. But again, it wouldn't be a Yasuo play if you didn't expect that you were going to win that 1v1. 30 seconds until the Drake. We've got a lot of second items being completed right now as well. Both teams taking their resets, coming back out of base. There's nothing else you really want to fight over, not Baron for another minute and 30 seconds, so it could all come down to this fight. Venomcrest, they can't really afford to be giving over another objective.
They spawn Shelly in the mid lane. She's going to keep on rocking forwards. I don't know how healthy the tower is. It should drop shortly after. There is Fastlad going forwards, uses Nature's Grass backwards as Shin trying to run down a freebie, just trying to go back and forth, but that's what an Olaf do be doing. Kenji able to find decent damage on the backside. Timur goes down. Shin will get taken down in punishment as well. Bartholdi is in the cell division, will get dropped down. It's 3v3 as the tankier members of the fight are starting to get peeled away. Fastlane flashes forwards. Limsey goes golden, but the last breath might just be enough. Limsey is opening up. Kenji goes golden here. Tries to flash away. Limsey still on the chase. Clockwork wind-up coming through as well. Fast-legged will drop. And Limsey on the Orianna stands tall alongside Momo and wins out the fight for Belfast.
That was a chaotic fight. It was Shin into the backline who just chased around a freebie, was able to take him out right at the very beginning, and from that moment you're losing a lot of your main damage. I think Bartholdi got a little bit too aggressive, tried to get into the backline and just wasn't able to do so, and then there were some other small abilities just missing. Kenji stays alive, is able to deal a decent amount of damage, but at the same time he's gone for Shadow Flame first, directly into Azonia's, and now has got an orb to try to reduce some of the healing. Like, this isn't a Kennen that does that much damage yet.
Has got the Zhonya's though. Taylor's old as time. Zoom in with the Slicing Maelstrom. Go golden and watch the chaos unfold around you. Belfast Storm, however, have started off the Drake here. They can open it up. And I was lied to. It's a Chemtech Rift, not Mountain. So not as sought after, but there is the Ragnarok coming forward. Bartoli trying to find the backline, but gets absolutely melted. Roskilde trying to run away. Kenji gets deleted as well. And that's a third kill. Picked up the top side of Venom Crest, made extinct by the Belfast Storm as they pick up their soul point, and they can sprint on their way to Baron as well.
You can play like that, Bartholdi, when you have the Soul Division available. When you don't, you cannot just go leaping into the backline.
Not sure you can do that even if you do have Soul Division up.
Maybe you survive a little bit longer with Soul Division up, but you certainly can't do it without. This is just going to be a Baron take for Belfast, but there are a couple of low members. Maybe there's something you could do right now as Venom Crest.
Last Embrace comes through a freebie, trying to do a bit of damage here and there, but realistically, what is there to be done as Belfast Storm pick up the Baron? They even up the gold. Fastlegged now going to come on in, try and find something off the back of this. Shin dropping low, but this is the Olaf healing all the way back up. Cozy Campfire going to keep him topped up as well. Unfortunately, he is a fish in the barrel in the sights of a freebie, will get taken down. But realistically, that's still more than worth for Belfast after they get 3 and Baron on 4 members.
Absolutely it is. They've managed to get themselves nearly back to even off of that place.
They were pretty much bang on, and then
until that
went down, and Venom Crest Serpents were able to pick up that mid lane turret. 22 minutes, 23 kills. Yep, this feels like a Four Nations game, Max. 1 kill a minute.
Okay. It feels like a Four Nations game, yes. It does not feel like a Venom Crest game. This is not the way that Venom Crest were playing prior to their first loss to Lions Creed. They looked like a much more cohesive team with better decision making. All of a sudden, they are taking a ton of bad fights, making bad decisions. Bartholdi has been way over aggressive in multiple situations. I know that's his playstyle. He looks to get the absolute most out of every situation, but there's a difference between that and just leaping into the backline with no soul division and no hope of staying alive. You went for the Night's Vow first. You have got an Anathema second. You're not that tanky to 5 members.
Production, can we double check who the Anathemas is on to, by the way? It's probably Limsey. I want to say Limsey because a majority of... no, it doesn't seem to be. Interesting.
But not to Limsey,
Momo.
that's
it's
the
on to
wrong team.
Momo. As the engage comes onto the mid lane, Venom Crest Serpents might just have found their angle. Momo will get taken down. Frostkilder is able to burn through Dunlosi as well, trying to get away, but the Ultra Mega Fire Kick sends him into the waiting arms of Shin, who gets melted by the Slicing Maelstrom. Lindsay waiting for Kenji to come out of the Zhonya's, but is going to walk down the barrel of a Freebie's cannon. As the Dawning Shadow will take that one up, and now suddenly, despite a Baron buff, 4 members of Belfast Storm are dead.
Yeah, you've only got that support left alive. Unlikely that Timur is going to be able to do anything particularly in this situation. The Baron and Power minions make it so that the push is at least slowed down by a little bit. Only going to be a tier 2 mid lane turret. But the gold lead that was nearly back to even has exploded back out to nearly 3,000. You've got to be pretty happy with getting this game not back under control from Venom Crest. I still think we're far from that moment, but at least picking yourself up a little bit more map space with turrets going down, because 1 minute 30 seconds until this next Drake is going to be spawning. There's no Baron at the same time, so it's going to be all about this Drake. If you pick this up for Belfast, you absolutely can win this game. Of course, it's Chemtech. That's not the most impactful soul, but it's still a soul in your favour.
Olaf.
Yeah, true. True.
Less
Getting
damage
extra
taken,
tenacity is
10% more damage done.
plus the tenacity that you get from just having the Drakes. Yeah, you're in a pretty good spot, to be fair.
Yeah, you can pick and choose a little bit more about when you press Ragnarok, which is, definitely a nice thing to have, rather than just having to press it the second the first piece of CC lands on you.
Yeah. Definitely does give you a little bit of an extra advantage. Venom Crest do not want to be giving this one over. They've got Roskilde down in the bot lane trying to get a little bit of a push going. Going to be really tricky against Shin. Now they're going to move in. Their Scuttle Crab is going to be giving plenty of vision over to Belfast, though. Resets just about coming through, and 30 seconds until this Drake starts. Oh, they're going for a catch to Shin.
may just be targeted by all 5 members of Venom Crest. Will get spotted forwards now. Will have to press the Ragnarok, trying to chase down a freebie, and might just get one. Nearly takes it down, but the Senna stands strong, has to burn the Summoner Heal to survive. Will do just that, and with the top laner down, flashless, ultimateless, teleportless, of course, could be an easy pickup. However, Belfast Storm, the remaining 4 members of them, going to choose to push in this mid lane, try and break open the tier 2. Bartholdi looking to break this one open, pulls back Dunlosi. Kenji is looking for the angle in, has the flash, has the Slicing Maelstrom. Nature's Grasp lands onto 2. The damage coming forwards. Kenji will now open up. There is the catch follow-up with the final, the last breath. Skilda is able to find his way towards the back line. Lindsay will drop Shin, still respawning, not going to be able to join the play. Skilda was looking to come over the blast cone, decides against it eventually.
That would have been bold.
They will let Belfast Storm escape with their lives. The freebie going to run on back, start up this Drake, cancel out, or at least do the first little step towards fully denying the Chemtech soul away from the Storm.
Once you give over 3, you do have to do this dance every single time the Drake is up. Every 5 minutes you're back here, but that's a pretty good first stand. Venom Crest picking themselves up. This Drake going to be able to take resets, and it all came off of Shin just pushing up too far, stepping up.
Speaking of Shin, looking for the backline again, trying to get a freebie, will be able to secure the kill, and now it's Venom Crest Serpents who are in a rough spot. Kenji able to run out for Skilda, trying to escape. No flash though, the Yasuo is going to drop. Bartholdi will be able to get away with the Elastic Slingshot. But 15 seconds until Baron comes up, and 2 of the main Venom Crest carries are now dead.
You had a ton of big ultimates just not available. Bartholdi is just getting chased around. I don't know if he's actually going to get a situation to try to recall. He's up near the Baron, but going to get caught out.
Full chase, full send. Belfast Storm are trying to get this Zac down. Limsey not quite able to do it. Shockwave comes through and hits the command dissonance. That is Cell Division procced. And Limsey now going to step forward, try and get that damage through the culling. Will not finish off Bartholdi. That might just prevent Belfast Storm from starting up the Baron.
Quite possibly. Getting that kill would have absolutely been a Baron. It's good to get the Soul Division down, though. We've seen that Bartholdi has made a couple of interesting decisions in this game. Stepped up a little bit too far, so you've got that one down. That helps you in this next fight. I think the main thing that we saw from that play around the bot side is that Shin just needs the flash and the heal off of a freebie, and you can actually get on top of him, get that kill, and then once this Senna is dead, that Dawning Shadow, I think, more than anything, is huge to have off of the map. The extra shield and the amount of damage that it's able to do with this build is pretty insane. We've got so many items completed. 3 item power spikes coming through for a lot of these champions. Would be interesting to see what the soul stack is as well for this Senna, because it's got to be pretty high at this point. A freebie is beginning to really hurt.
Gets stunned up with the Glacial Prison, and stacks. Souls are not going to matter, Max, when you're not on the Rift. Slicing Maelstrom from Kenji does next to nothing as the Lightning Rat is left.
Why?
And Bartholdi tries to go forwards. Momo attempts the chase down, will not be able to pick up the kill. And 2 more for Belfast Storm. They are able to run it back to the Baron.
Sorry for getting a little bit annoyed in that situation, but there's perhaps one too many times I've watched Bartholdi go flying into the backline when he really shouldn't have done. I guess in that situation, you do live. Does blow the flash though in that fight, and Baron goes over to Belfast Storm. This game is super back and forth. Both of these teams have put themselves into good positions to win and then thrown it all away. The last time Belfast ended up trying to throw this game away to the other team was when they got that first Baron. They lost out on a big team fight, ended up having their turrets pushed in rather than getting any pushes done themselves. Let's see if they can clean that one up this time and try to stabilize this game, because at this point I have no clue who's going to win this game.
Venom Crest Serpents, importantly, were able to get precisely 0 while Belfast Storm were doing the Baron.
Yeah.
We saw Roskilde go towards the bot lane, but wasn't able to push the wave in time, wasn't able to take down that tier 2 turret, and now might be at risk of just being run down as Belfast Storm looking for the angle in. Last Embrace. Just end up rooting up 3. Limsey, you're meant to step away from your teammates when that happens. I'm going to let him have that one, though, because he has been having a great game thus far. Yep. Fantastic shockwaves. Putting that damage down onto Bartholdi, of course, getting that Cell Division down before the previous Baron. Belfast Storm will continue to push. There's still a tier 2 turret available in the bot lane, so not quite fully opening up the map for them, but of course they have now, I think for the first time this game, jumped ahead in towers taken.
Yeah, they're in a super strong position. But it's all going to come down to this Drake, I feel like. You're still really close between the two teams. If a freebie can stay alive, I think then Venom Crest are in with a chance of winning out onto this fight. But we've seen multiple times where a freebie just can't survive. Does have the flash up, does have the heal up, so that could be the key factor. Yeah.
Will be
going to be able to get away from Shin.
Venom Crest.
There we go. Now it's there.
Yeah. They are able to push in the mid lane, but, I mean, Baron up Belfast Storm. How much longer does Baron even have on it? It should be dropping fairly shortly, I think. Well, being Belfast Storm, they know that they don't need to necessarily go for the Drake because it's only going to be the second Chemtech for Venom Crest. Like, yeah, okay, heal and shield power and some tenacity. I mean, that's nice for a freebie. The extra healing and shielding from that Senna would be pretty notable. Kenji does have a potential flank angle. He doesn't have flash right now, though. We've got about 15-20 seconds until that comes up. Fast-legged will spot out Belfast, lying in wait. Kenji, like the ninja he is, waiting for the moment to strike. Momo is the one that starts up the Drake. Now Belfast Storm, they will peel back towards the Drake. It looks like Venom Crest Serpents do not have...
They're going to run out right into him.
Nature's Grasp coming forwards. Limsey is the target here.
Kenji!
Flash in from Kenji. The backline is found. Limsey dropping low, comes out of the stopwatch to die. Timmer found towards the backside. Bartoli not quite able to get onto him as Momo's going to do a good chunk of damage. Shin trying to find an angle in, but only finds Venom Crest. I keep saying line screen. Venom Crest Serpent members nearby. Soul is picked up by Belfast Storm, but they need to get out, and quickly. Dunlosi now spotted out by Bartholdi. Just trying to slow the backs, I think, as the push comes into mid lane. Momo is here. Should be able to clear out the wave fairly well, but doesn't have the culling, and so will have to step back. Doesn't have the range to safely clear this wave out. And the first inhibitor of the game finally will drop at 32, nearly 33 minutes. Timmer just about escapes Bartholdi. We'll be able to recall. We are waiting now. 5 minutes until the Elder Dragon spawns onto the Rift. 2 minutes until the next Baron. Does the game last another 5 minutes? It feels like it lasts at least another 5 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like we might end up in a situation where we're looking at this Elder, and I have seen far too many teams get themselves soul, not close out in the next 5 minutes,
Shin,
lose a smite fight to the Elder.
I'm looking at Shin, though, because Chemtech Soul has now been secured. We're talking about that. Very, very powerful on an Olaf, who likes to be low health, and has picked up the experimental Hex Plate. Better ult cooldown, even
slightly
more
bruisery build.
Well, I just like it, because, of course, it means more Ragnaroks. He goes even faster and attacks even faster, while under the effect of that ultimate as well, or at least for 7 seconds after using it. That means I feel like a freebie, there's a very small box that it is safe for a freebie to stand in any given fight.
Yeah, you've got to be pretty far back, but obviously the Senna slowly but surely getting a little bit more range, going to be auto-attacking from further and further back the longer this game goes on.
132 stacks, thank you for production.
132.
So,
oof, that's a lot of stacks.
100's when you start to go, yeah, that Senna's like online.
Yeah.
We're a decent shot further than that. Before long, I think a freebie is going to be able to auto things from outside of, like, reasonable range. Like, the only thing that'll be able to touch them is, like, a flash Arctic Assault or the Glacial Prison.
Yeah, you're going to have to get on top of a freebie from incredibly far away. That flank as well out of Kenji.
Kenji and Bartholdi looking for the flank angle here. Bartholdi looks for the backline. Will be able to land the Let's Bounce, but the follow-up isn't quite here. Roskilde was not able to use the last breath. Shin, however, has used the Ragnarok, which is a big cooldown down. In fact, both teams have used quite big cooldown. Shockwave will find Fastleg, but it's only Fastleg as Bartoldi again looks to find the backline. However, he gets caught out, dropped into the Cell Division. Kenji has the ultimate available, but is struggling to find the angle in. There is Bartoldi taken down as Roskilde finds the last breath onto 3. Not quite able to find the damage, however. Kenji goes golden, going to try and get away. Limsey not quite able to take that one down. Now looking for the chase. Fastlegged serves him up. He'll go golden for a second. A freebie will be able to hit on the speed from the command dissonance, will allow Limsey to escape. And by the grace of Seraph's Embrace as well, he will survive. Bartoldi is down, however. Venomcrest Serpents, if they want to start up the Baron, and it seems like they do it's going to be a risky proposition. Dunlosi is still up.
He is alive, but do you know this is happening? Do you expect it to be happening? There's now going to be pings coming on. A teleport is coming down. Limsey will be around, but
he gets it! Dunlosi steals the Baron as Venomcrest Serpents. They blunder, trying to make it happen. They get Dunlosi down, but it doesn't matter. That's another Baron picked up. Mercifully for Venomcrest Serpents, only Limsey and Timmer are alive to receive the buff. But that could have been really, really bad for the Storm.
Nobody went over the wall to check what was going on. Dunlosi was up, you said it, but I was like, do they know? Do you really get in? They did know. Limsey tried to do his best to get extra for his jungler, and it ended up working out. Dunlosi huge. I mean, Dunlosi, I said that it's hard to come in as a carry jungler, but that's the kind of big plays that if you can make them, can get your team back into games. 1 minute until Elder. That's it. I don't care about this Baron particularly. Elder is everything. Who gets this Elder decides the game. It decides the game straight up, because you've got the Baron buff on Belfast, but they've got more towers to go through. You've got a lot less towers to go through, an inhibitor already down in the mid lane. For Venomcrest, if they pick themselves up the Elder, it just ends. Interesting.
Nature's Grasp comes out, Limsey goes golden, but is in the midst of an entire Venomcrest, but the Shockwave comes forward, does good damage, but the escape is now trying to come through. It's Shin dropping, Bartoldi jumping forward. That's 2 members of the Belfast Storm dropping. One of their Barons already gone, and it was Limsey, this huge carry who has fallen down. 20 seconds until the Elder spawns. Venomcrest Serpents, we said it was theirs to take with the Baron. Dunlosi is still alive.
Yep. That's huge that Dunlosi survives all of that, but still, the 2 kills right before the Elder spawns. The Elder has spawned right now, and it looks like you're just going to get mid-push out of Venomcrest. They're going to pull back to get themselves this Elder, and Belfast just have to stop. They can't walk in onto this one. Sure, you're in a good spot to steal the Baron on red side, but you're not in as good a spot to steal out onto Drake's.
Yeah, no way in for Dunlosi this time around, and it will be the Venomcrest Serpents who secure the Elder Dragon. And now, again, the pendulum swings. And it really does feel like a pendulum. One team this game has the advantage, it ticks back. The other one finds a good fight. They put themselves in a good spot. And then a slight slip-up flips it back the other way. And on it has gone this game. The Venomcrest Serpents, with the Elder Dragon, they've got to do 20% less work to wipe out Belfast Storm in the next fights.
And there have been many fights where Belfast Storm have limped away. This is one of the problems with picking up an early soul. You end up with the Elder spawning, but you have to go now as Venomcrest. You can't just let this buff go. It's a very short buff. You only get it for a minute and a bit, so you have to get up into the faces of Belfast right now and make it work for you. You've got the mid lane inhibitor respawned for Belfast, so they're going to have to push through mid and another lane most likely. Top lane, bot lane, they're in relatively similar spots. Not sure where they're going to want to go. It looks like they're going to be sending Roskilde up into the top lane. Yeah, pings onto this tower. Got to make it work. Venomcrest, this is everything. You have played this game super back and forth. If you want to secure it in your favour, snap the losing streak before it really gets a chance to get off of the ground. You need to make this Elder work for you.
Half of the Elder Dragon buff has already elapsed, Max.
Yep.
Venomcrest Serpents, they walk in, they will get one of the remaining turrets outside of Belfast Storm's base. But they haven't found a fight yet. Momo going to use the culling, prevent an engage. Nature's Grasp comes through. Sure, you're going to be able to do some damage to the tower. A little bit of damage comes through. They are not going to be able to fully secure it. They are able to step away. They have to wait for a minion wave. Second after second of this Elder buff ticking away. Belfast Storm doing what they need to do here. Do not take the fight. If you've got to lose an inhibitor, sure, that's fine. Just do not take a fight because the numbers are not in your favor right now. The inhibitor turret will drop. The inhibitor in the top lane will fall. The mid lane will drop as well. But Belfast Storm for now persist. They are not taking the fight. And Venomcrest Serpents, with what little time remains, yes, they get some macro, but they do not end the game.
They don't, but still, 2 inhibitors is huge. It's not everything that they needed. They really needed to find a fight, but I think that's more on Belfast being really well disciplined. They knew that they didn't have to step up in that situation. Losing 2 inhibitors sucks, but it's not the end of the world. They're also going to lose a bot lane tier 2. They're beginning to run out of turrets to try to play around. As Belfast, you can't just let this game happen to you at this point. You've now got to step up. You were good, step back, waited until those these big Elder buffs went. Now it's your time to find a fight, because unfortunately Shin doesn't get any stronger in this game. You know, Limsey has already completed all but 1 item, doesn't get any stronger either, whereas Venomcrest can keep scaling with this Senna. Infinite scaling is a huge thing once you end up in a 41-minute game.
It's got to be 150, 160 stacks for a freebie at this point in the game.
It's got to be huge for a freebie. Let's have a look at what this Senna is sat on, because... oh boy, I mean, do we even need to see the number to know that it hurts? Like, at this point, we've been seeing a freebie.
The number is, it's high. It's very, very high.
Yeah, it's gonna be
importantly, Baron about to spawn, the 3rd Baron of the game. And the wave clear from Belfast Storm, something we didn't really touch on, is so good that it's been a real problem. Bartholdi, looking for the backline, is able to find Momo. But the chase, the freebie gets removed. Shin takes him down, will drop in trade. But now it's Belfast Storm looking for the fight. The culling chunking through. Dunlosi going to put some damage down onto Roskilde. Is able to find his way towards the backline. Going to keep going with the sweeping blade. Bartholdi gets dropped into the cell division. Roskilde again looking for the angle in. Trying to find the damage using the wind wall. Amazingly, Bartholdi able to get out. Roskilde though, there's no way out for you, my friend. As Belfast Storm, they lose 1, but they trade it for both mid laner and the carry. Quotes carry, you know. The air quotes carry. Support. Senna, who, by the way, has sold her support item at this point in the game.
Yeah.
And is now
You don't need any more gold. What are you doing with gold at this point? It is a useless currency. Ward? Nah, you are just here to do straight up damage, except you're not, because every single time Shin is more than happy to take the 1-for-1 trade for his life, straight for a freebie. That's all you need. You are not going to be useful in a big straight up team fight.
As Belfast Storm now starting up the Baron. Bartholdi, look towards the top of your screen, is lurking on the Zac. A freebie coming out of the base right now. The TP from Lindsay comes in. Momo dropping so very low. Nature's Grass coming forwards as Kenji will be able to find Momo. Is this the time for Venomcrest Serpents? Limsey drops as well. Dunlosi on the run, but the re-engage is coming through. Dunlosi will drop.
Minions in the base as well.
Is opening up, and this Senna not marked for the first fight in a very long time. Shin has a flash, has a Ragnarok, but he has all the work to do for himself against a full Venomcrest Serpents roster. The first inhibitor turret, the first Nexus turret is dropping. Shin trying to chase forwards. Kenji is able to survive. He's running on in. Will survive for a moment longer, but it's a freebie that will be his demise. The Senna able to close it out, and after a 44-minute nail biter of a game, Venomcrest Serpents will end. They will nix the loss streak.
Oh, it took them a while to do so. What a crazy game. This was one of the most back and forth games I've seen in the UKL ever.
Yeah. It certainly feels that way.
That was nuts. And in the end, it comes down to just the tiniest little bit of a misposition out of Limsey and Momo. Just stepping up a little bit too far, just getting auto-attacked down by a cannon. That feels terrible. A freebie is bombing it back from base. You've just won a team fight. You're starting up the Baron. But it doesn't matter. Losing those 2 inhibitors to that Elder was so huge, because it meant that whenever Belfast stepped up, there was pressure on their base, and they were forced to try to make snap decisions as quickly as possible. They made the wrong one in that situation, and it ends up costing them another loss.
Starting out the second round robin, definitely not as they started it. They started the first Venom Crest Serpents. I would say that, yes, okay, the loss streak is over, but was that a convincing win?
No.
Not really. You've got a lot to prove to us still, I'm afraid, Serpents. Yeah. We'll see if they are able to put on a more convincing performance later with their second game of the second round robin. Bit of a mouthful there. We are going to be back in a few minutes for a couple more games. You're stepping out, Max, but I'm going to stick around. I'm in for the long haul, and Zika will be joining me for 2 more games. The remaining 2 games of the first day of the second round. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. We'll be back in a few.
Hello everybody and welcome back to, I believe, week 4, day 2 of the UK L4 Nations, pre-recorded again. We are covering Nuclear Vikings versus Paragon in this game for you, and I know you were expecting myself and Brackish here, but it's not the case.
Surprise.
Max is back. Wrong way. Max is back.
Yeah.
Certain things happened, and this is what we are running with, so I will be your play-by-play for these 2 games. I apologize in advance. But
it's going to be great.
It's going to be something. It's going to be something. Looking forward to this game. Paragon vs Nuclear Vikings was game 1 on day 1 of this split of the UK L4 Nations, and it was a pretty close game, if memory serves. Max, do you want to remind us what happened the first time these 2 teams faced off against each other?
Paragon were looking really good, and I was really excited for this Paragon roster. It was a roster that had played before a ton. It's obviously most of the parts of Exeter Uni's university team, and it just didn't work for them. They seemed to be in a pretty good spot in that game until all of a sudden Nuclear Vikings just won a single team fight, I think it might have been, and just wandered down and ended the game, and it came completely out of left field. I don't think anybody who was watching it was expecting it. I remember getting back to desk and being like, what happened here? They were in the lead, they were winning, and all of a sudden Nuclear Vikings just won that game. But that is the only game that they've won in the entire first round robin, so I think that if I'm Paragon and my game's just sort of stepped up, I've just started getting a lot stronger, actually firing on all cylinders after a couple of roster swap arounds, I want to come back to this game, revisit it, and kick off my second round robin in a very different way than they kicked out the first.
Absolutely. I mean, it definitely bears worth mentioning that game, Nuclear Vikings were playing with a sub-top laner, Wet Noodles taking on the Cassante, and honestly just MVPing that game from top to bottom. Possibly the best performing player in that game for Nuclear Vikings. Of course, now, Dusty, their main top laner, is with the team. We'll have to see how that goes, but it is worth mentioning, both these teams came from Div 2. Roddy and Fruity Carrots played against the Paragon Ex Machina lineup a number of times throughout Div 2 plus Div 2 playoffs under the Paragon flag.
Yeah.
Do we think that possibly weighs up well here in their favor? Are they going to understand how this team wants to play together, or do we think that the addition of SnapX and the move of Timitopper to mid lane is going to throw them for 6 a little bit?
I think it'll throw them for 6 a little bit, and also I think that works for you in the first round robin. Maybe that's what we ended up seeing, whereas this time around things have changed. There's something distinctly different about the way that Paragon are playing. I mean, my favorite player, I think possibly in all of University Esports, which is my favorite league to cover, is Timitopper. I've thought he's excellent the entire time, and I think that his best role is absolutely mid lane. So having Timitopper back into the mid lane, I think has really unlocked a new light for this Paragon roster. So I don't know if Nuclear Vikings can leverage that knowledge of each other. But then again, we've seen crazy games. That previous Venom Crest game that we just watched was completely mad, so it's not out of the realms of possibility, but I think if we look at these teams' current forms, not looking at the past, not looking at how they know each other, Nuclear Vikings are struggling right now, and Paragon, they look great.
And you've not got a bad replacement for Timitopper in that support role either. Drippy Darren definitely proving their worth in recent games. I believe Paragon currently on a 3-game win streak, if memory serves. Running for that hat-trick, going for their 4th today. And it is a very good way to be coming into that mid-season point, right? You're on the up and up, you're starting to gel fully as a roster, and you've got something that's working for you. So with all that said and done, let's go ahead and take a look at the draft for this game. I am excited, because if there's one thing that I love about this level of esports, it is the weird drafts, and I think we're seeing it here. Refreshes Aurelia, and Admawodo on support instead of Darren.
Yeah, interesting. Not Drippy Darren, who
hang on.
Is
no,
that just a different account?
Yes, it's just different names. Crisis is there as well. Something's weird there. Crisis is definitely not on Paragon.
No, very much not going to be on Paragon.
Admawodo is definitely not on Paragon. Admawodo is Ruddy sub, I believe.
Yeah.
No
worries, we'll get that fixed for you just quickly, but we can still talk about what we've seen with the draft, assuming that is correct. I like the TF, I really like the TF. ADTF at the moment seems just super strong. When you have the teleport plus that ultimate, you can just be so mobile all around the map. We saw it previously where you just ended up with great flanks, great just pressure being put down by the TF, and you also are in a pretty good spot to try to 1v1 people. I think that AP TF, when it's as strong as AD, is often a better version, but at the same time, I think the AD just gives you more in terms of turret pushing, and you've still got that gold card in every situation, so I do really like that. Timitopper, I know he plays it quite a lot, so I think that's going to be quite exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely fits into the style that we've seen Timitopper play, right? I mean, Corki has the package for that map mobility. ASOL, W, map mobility. The TF fits into that quite nicely, and is a comfort champion from all of my research on this player at the very least. Refresh Aurelia. This is something we don't see much of, but
we should.
We should. I have said I made the point when I was with Daleks. No, not when I was with Daleks. When I was on desk on Thursday, because we saw Refresh actually play a tank, and that's not something we see very often. Refresh is almost always been a bruiser player, and now
lovely. Perfect.
We have the draft in front of us. I think that's going to be an APTF though.
If it's not, then you have no AP.
Damage.
I think that the ADTF is stronger at the moment, but right now, yeah, you're going to need the AP in this situation. That should be the Karma into the mid lane and the Zyra in the bot lane. That bot lane is terrifying. I know that Ashe Rel can do quite a lot, but whenever you have Caitlyn and Zyra, the amount of poke in that bot lane is nauseating.
You say that.
You think you want to swap that around? Either way,
This
the poke
looks like
bot
it's
lane's
in order, so I think it's Zyra
disgusting.
mid.
You're right. Actually, it does look like it's an order rather than pick. Wow.
And Kiana does like these more random picks. And
That's different.
unless memory is failing me, Fearno should be the support for Nuclear Vikings, and he's very good at Rel Karma.
Yes, I can understand why you would do it this way around. I'm so used to the drafts just being in pick order that I'm like, oh, look at where things are going to be. But still, I think the point does still stand. Karma and Caitlyn is still a disgusting poke lane. Actually, in terms of poke lanes, I think of Caitlyn Karma, Caitlyn Lux. That's kind of the lanes that I look at when I think, yeah, I don't want my enemy ADC to have any fun. And Ashe is an interesting one, where she's long-ranged when you include her ability to poke through W, but if she doesn't have that W up, in order to actually auto-attack onto minions, she's pretty short range, and that can leave you rather exposed to the Caitlyn and Karma. If you could get on top of those champions, though, actually begin to take them out, that's a situation where the spot lane could come online, but at least for the first couple of levels, if you lose that race to level 2, that's the point at which the Caitlyn and Karma can just take over this lane.
And of course, for those of you curious as to where Lao Wei is, if you missed Thursday's broadcast, Lao Wei is currently recovering from carpal tunnel syndrome, which is why Fearno is playing. Get well soon, Lao Wei. We miss you. Can't wait to see you back again. But with all that said and done, are there any closing points you want to make on this draft? Maybe who you'd give the edge to overall?
I think we're in a situation that I've been in for a lot of games, where you've got a Xin Zhao, and I think the Xin Zhao trolls a lot of teams into putting way too much focus into needing your jungler to pop off, and even if the jungler does so, the Xin Zhao eventually is a lot less useful than something like a Poppy. There's a lot of dashes on the Caitlyn and the Jhin that the Poppy's going to be very happy to just stand in and stop from being able to do anything. And I think that the Poppy just gives you more later on. I think Paragon have better chances to get around the map with the mobility, but at the same time, if your Scion's pretty tanky, able to sit in a side lane and push, there's a potential win condition through that. I think Nuclear Vikings need to get things going early with their Jhin, with their bot lane, and if not, Paragon are in a super strong spot. And overall, I'm just really excited to see Refresh on the Aurelia.
Okie, well, I think I will oppose. I will give prediction to Nuclear Vikings just to be the aspect of chaos. But with that said and done, we are now ready to jump into the game. Nuclear Vikings versus Paragon for the second time of the split. We are rehashing game number 1 of day number 1, and it's gonna be a banger. Just see how this game goes, shall we, as we head on to Summoner's Rift.
Alright, let's jump on in and see this one. Second round robin. Here we go. This is the point at which you really need to turn it on. All of these teams scrapping for wins. Nuclear Vikings, can they pick up their second win of the split against the same team? I don't know, Paragon, they're in a very, very strong position right now. They have just seemed to find their footing, put themselves into the sort of strong position I was expecting this team to be in when we first jumped in. Let's see if we get any shenanigans early on. Fruity Carrots is pushing in.
Just looking for that little bit of vision. Double wards dropped on Paragon's red buffed Snepex. Not going to be able to make that start there, but doesn't look like they want to anyway. And I think most of the action this game is going to be happening towards this bot side.
Yeah, I could definitely see bot side being incredibly explosive. Whenever there's an Aurelia lane, you do tend to think you're going to see a lot of explosivity there, but isn't necessarily going to be the case. Kiana might just be getting jumped on right here. Last and Drippy Darren made their way up.
Got a lot of ground to cover with the bushes being pushed back this season. It's very hard to get a bush gank onto mid, especially with that Rel engage being relatively short range.
They want it.
They do want it.
They really want it. They've got a little while.
They'd have to blow flash. So it looks like Timatopper is actually looking to go AD here.
You have to win this game really early then. I mean, the only tank you're particularly worried about is going to be the San.
Do you?
San.
I mean, thinking about it, all of TF's damage, despite having AD scalings, is still magic damage.
That is true, and also, who are you really worried about, I guess, is the thing. Like, the shields are going to come through no matter what out of Fearno. The San's going to be really AD heavy anyway. The Sion is the only real issue, and I think that Sion just doesn't keep himself alive in the same way that we see a lot of these top lane tanks can. The Zacs and the Cassantes at the moment. I don't think the Sion quite has that same flash factor that you really get from those champions, so I don't know that you have to be quite so worried. But then again, I would still prefer to see Paragon be able to pick up this game as quickly as possible.
Yes, the sooner you can end, the longer the harder it'll be for Sion to really have an impact into this what's looking to be full AD composition. But for now, just gonna have the expected bot lane shoving in for Paragon. Other lanes pretty even so far. The junglers both doing the same full clear towards the bot side, so bot lane definitely the focus for the teams this game.
Junglers going to be popping up down here, and early on in the skirmishes, you've got a definite advantage for Fruity Carrots. This is where you're going to be probably at your strongest point, but Poppy can deal a surprising amount of damage and has got that steadfast presence that makes them just good into this champion. I don't know if you're necessarily going to be able to find any big ganks really early back actually out of Brody Inferno. Gonna head back, picking up a cull, so clearly not looking to get too aggressive, just gonna take that range advantage that they have and turn it into being able to sit pretty in this lane, scale up and get to that 2 to 3 item point at which the Caitlyn can really begin to pop off.
And if you can get this Caitlyn to pop off, the game gets so hard for the side of Paragon, because they don't really have an easy way to deal with her. She is the big scaling carry on this team.
Indeed. So, things not getting too spicy at the moment. Fruity Carrots just going to chase Chippy Darren away from this bot lane play, but still you're going to be able to pick up that first Scuttle Crab as Snipex and head straight up through the mid lane to potentially grab a second double Scuttle this early on. It's not game breaking, but it is certainly a good start, exactly what you would like to pick up for yourselves. Just going to be able to find this one nice and easily. And so while we've got a little bit of a chill state, perhaps we have a look into this top lane. Refresh onto the Irelia. Now, we both expressed a lot of joy at seeing it, but I feel like we didn't really get into why. I think Refresh is one of the best carry top laners that we have in this league, but I feel like he hasn't really been able to show that off so far in the split.
Absolutely. Definitely been put to a more utility bruiser style instead of the carry that he does oh so adore playing. And the Irelia, definitely a staple champion for Refresh. I mean, it's one of the most played from my research.
Yes, absolutely. He's dominated Uni Esports with this for multiple years running at this point.
So it'll be a case of seeing how that goes. Fruity Carrot opting to just go for this first dragon here, taking it for free, while Snipex on the other side taking first 3 grubs, disabling this Caitlyn from being able to just absolutely manhandle towers from the get-go.
Yeah, you don't want to give that one over, and this makes a lot of sense in terms of where all of the power is in these lanes. You weren't really going to be able to get enough bot lane priority to pick up this Drake as Snipex, whereas Snipex has plenty of priority with an Irelia top lane. Level 6 also coming through for some of these solo lane carries. Timotopia has not quite hit that level 6 yet. Once they do have that ultimate unlocked, though, we really need to see where it's going to be going. Can be an absolute game changer.
Definitely can, but for Refresh in the top lane makes treading a little bit difficult, allows Dusty to just get free grass procs once Refresh is in their face. Kiana, she's doing shockingly well on this Zyra, I must say. Not something you would expect to stand up to the Twisted Fate, but she is working with it well. Just forcing Timotopper off of waves, poking from far with plants. And as an AD carry player, I can attest that Zyra is extremely obnoxious with those damn plants.
She really is, and those grasping roots are just terrifying. Whenever you step up a little bit too far, getting caught out by that can be just huge. And you're not in a situation where you're too worried about the damage your team can lay down. Caitlyn gonna have plenty. The Karma, even support, does a surprising amount, so just having that balancing AP is good. Furno, though, stepping up shouldn't be.
Definitely going to get caught here, as it should just be first blood going down. So having a long time, Snipex will bring the hammer down for first blood.
Inferno stepping into that brush, clearly not expecting the jungler to be around, but just going to give over that first blood. And all of a sudden, that bot lane that was the bastion of strength right there for Nuclear Vikings is not anymore. They're just going to have to concede in this bot lane. Caitlyn can do a decent job by herself. It's just definitely not what you want to do, giving over that initial first blood, especially not to a Poppy, because we've seen Poppies just completely take over games. So tanky, can also deal a huge amount of damage. If she can just step up, puts you in a really strong position. Fruity Carrots absolutely just leering in this mid lane, once going on to Timatopa. Timatopa keeps stepping up enough to keep Fruity Carrots interested, then backs out again. That's quite a lot of time wasted at this point for Fruity Carrots.
Certainly is. That Wind Becomes Lightning not able to connect onto Timatopa. Even if it did, it would be dangerous, so close to the tower. But Qiyana doing a good job of shoving these waves, nullifying this Twisted Fate, stopping the roam potential in its tracks for now. Even if Fruity Carrots can't find a gank, you're just putting pressure as the flash from Drippy Darren onto Fino, caught behind enemy lines. Again, the Ignite is down, ticking, and Darren will secure second kill onto Fino. 0-2, 8 minutes into the game.
Now they're going to go for a play top lane as well. Snipex on the way in. Dusty does have the flash, going to use it right now. Still going to get knocked up, getting underneath the turret and gets taken down. Refresh manages to pick up this kill. And the Undead Scion just going to be able to thin out this wave. Not the end of the world, because you do get to pick up most of this wave, but giving over a kill to Refresh as Irelia is not ideal.
Definitely makes things very, very dangerous. A good passage of play from Paragon. Very much akin to what we saw from them the last time they faced Nuclear Vikings. However, that game fell apart at about the 20-minute mark.
Yep.
Question is, will we see that again? Stun
They just
onto Brody. Doesn't look like there's any follow-up for it for now, though.
This would be a risky dive. Anytime you dive a rel, it's incredibly risky, but they have plenty of health.
Definitely looking for Fruity Carrots. Does one of them comes like and jumps onto Last. Last has to flash away. The TP's coming into the tower. Fino is already dead. Fruity Carrots next. Drippy Darren will fall, and now Brody forced to face Refresh. Fruity Carrots will take Last on the other side, but will now have to fight 2-on-1. Stun doesn't quite land, doing everything they can, but the kill will be gifted to Refresh. 3-0 on this Irelia. The carry is online.
Yeah, Irelia, really strong position right now. Refresh teleporting in makes it well worth as well. Only going to lose a turret plate and a little bit of a minion wave top lane. Getting back out onto the map with a Bork completed and a Cull yet to finish. This is a super terrifying position to have an Irelia in right now. The dive went better than I was actually expecting. I wasn't sure that Fruity Carrots was going to be able to pick up as many kills as he did.
Qiyana. He's okay for now. The flash stun coming through from Timatopa. There comes the ultimate. The knockup lands onto two. Fruity Carrots is here to try and get more. Knockup on Drippy Darren. Snipex going very, very low, but everybody able to just run. The health bars are a bit too high. Zarelia's full build, and Zyra back to the garden where she's from. Persephone's calling, and Dusty will fall in a 1v1 in the top side. Refreshes on a rampage. Time to refresh the lane, Scion, methinks.
Yep, as a Scion, you just want to survive in this lane, but that initial gank really well played out of Snipex. Actually, this entire early game has been really well played. Both of these junglers getting proactive, but I just think the carries are getting more out of Paragon. You're getting just that much more priority. It is going to be Fruity Carrots heading top lane to pick himself up some of these grubs, but with Refresh hovering, yeah, just going to have to back off. Not going to be able to take on to the rest of these two. I think that has stopped all 6 from going over, but still a possibility of 5. No real response. It is going to be 3 for 3, so nobody really getting a buff out of these grubs, but it is going to be 1 Drake apiece as well. Oh boy, Refresh. Oh boy, Refresh.
Walking Dusty down.
That's not fair.
That's not bad, but it's a full build Irelia.
Full build 5-stack Irelia kind of hurts though, like just a little bit, and it's really interesting the way that this game has gone, where top lane, it was always going to be Refresh favored, but you don't expect a Scion to die that much, but one gank out of Snipex turns the tide. And then bot lane, Brody and Inferno, they're in a really strong position until Inferno steps out of position and just gets taken out. Even the dives don't end cleanly because of the good map play that Paragon are exhibiting, and I think that's the biggest change. Individually, these players were not playing badly before they ended up picking up their first win. But at the same time, their map play, the way that they were playing as a team together, was not good. They were losing out in situations I really didn't expect from them, because... Arrow just sails wide, by the way. Because they played together. This team is from Exeter Uni, who just won in the most recent York tournament. They're a really good team that know each other. But it turns out, stepping up out of university onto a higher stage took them a little bit, but now they're online. I mean, dang, and look at Refresh, just gonna dodge away from that knock-up as well, putting the pressure on Dusty. You can't really dive onto a Scion in this situation, not until you get him a little bit lower, but you could just keep this pressure up constantly and make it so this Scion doesn't really get to farm in the way that he wants to.
And it just makes the life of Nuke so hard. Snepek looking onto Qiyana again. The flash under the tower. Flash in response from Qiyana means she is safe for now. Heroic charge almost enough to spell the end for the plant lady in the mid lane. Now Snepek's looking for some kind of invade onto chickens. Could have to fight Fruity Carrots for it. Fruity Carrots will get the gold and just leave.
And the Snepek can just keep stepping up, and I think getting vision right now on Fruity Carrots is more important than anything else, because your mid lane is pushing quite far up. It's putting a lot of... Okay, Snipex, I like the idea. They're not... It was going to be pretty hard to get that one, it must be said, but still, keep threatening. Snipex wants to keep the tempo of this game up. Without a real AP threat, you do just want to keep the tempo of the game up. You don't have to panic. You don't really have a ton of tanks that are going to be able to build a huge amount of AP resists. In fact, I think one of the biggest things right now is that Dusty, the only person who really would want to be getting tanky with magic resist, can't, because if you buy any magic resist in this matchup versus the Aurelia, you're just conceding deaths.
Over and over again, no less. Will always be able to stack a lot of health though. This Aurelia gonna be the only person who can really cut down this Scion after a point. As now, wait to see what the next play is. Herald seems to be the call from Snepex. Wait to see. The top are moving up as well. Herald will just be given. I think it's being done blind. Can we get a vision check for Nuclear Vikings on this objective? It is completely dark.
I don't see anything. A TP bot, TP behind.
There is indeed, as Darren has already killed Fierno. Roddy will be the next full. Last donated that kill by Refresh.
Wow.
On the board.
The whole map is just completely and utterly falling apart for Nuclear Vikings. This squad has really struggled with their map play, and now that Paragon have figured out how to play the map, things are just looking downright disgusting. I mean, Paragon, they were in a good spot when they lost the game at 20 minutes last time around, but they were certainly not this far ahead. Oh, Fruity Carrots getting onto Last.
Oh, flashes the wall, and Darren is there to peel. Qiyana will take the kill onto Last, and now Darren is a little bit too far into enemy territory. Fruity Carrots looking to chase the flash. W crash down away. When Becomes Lightning does connect. Is the Audacious Charge there to follow Smite into the 3 Talon Strike? Is gonna live. Isn't able to catch onto Darren any quicker.
Mid lane just going to fall as well. This is going to be a second charge. Furno steps up. I don't think you want to do that in the face of Refresh. Furno's just going to die right here. He's just dead. Refresh is just going to keep going. Has to get out from turret range. Now has reset it. Snipex tanking up, taking a lot of damage. Brody gonna fall. Snipex gonna go down as well, though.
As will Refresh.
Gets a double.
Huge influx of gold for this Caitlyn. 2, 3, and 1 now for Brody. That felt like Paragon getting a bit hypey, overplaying their hands just that tiny little bit as the ult comes in onto Qiyana from Timbertopper. So many plants though, the arrow will land, Qiyana is stunned, and now Last running for the hill, so much damage. There's the ultimate coming out of Dusty, and Last will fall. Darren having to run away again. Timbertopper still on the backside, will find Qiyana, a lot of damage coming out. One more auto will do it, the flash through, and Qiyana dies. It's even 2 for 1, but it's not an ideal situation to be in. Paragon, they fumbled the bag a little bit and have let Nuclear Vikings a little bit of an avenue back into the game. Still a 4k gold difference as it looks like the fight may continue. Dusty looking for something. Snepex and Darren stepping forward rather aggressively. Looks like everything's going to settle. Dragon is up and being melted by Nuclear Vikings.
I think it's just gone. Snipex can't step up, gonna get knocked up.
Darren goes low, has to crash down away. shot will come through, but it's already dead. And now looking for the fight stun card
the
onto
arrow
Brody, but the
misses.
arrow misses. The stun into the wall from StepX. The stun from Refresh. Brody cannot play the game as Darren is currently keeping the front line occupied. Fino next on the list, so low, will fall through. Carrots the only damage left, will die as well. It's currently 3 kills to 1 as Dusty, the only man left alive, will fall as well. 4 for 1 and a dragon via troubles, but Paragon, they saw the bag fumble, they picked it back up and they swung with all their might at Nuclear Vikings. It's a knockout blow almost.
Yeah, huge fight right there. Nuclear Vikings felt like they could pick up the Drake. They were able to get the Drake, but Refresh had a huge flank. It didn't matter that the arrow ended up going wide out of last. Soon as Refresh got into the backline, just blew up Brody and chased Furno around, the front line was able to just be kept well and truly busy by the rest of the members of Paragon. Refresh gonna cap this one off with a bot lane tier 1 as well, and the gold has swung to almost 6,000 in the favor of Paragon. It's been pretty back and forth in this game, but it feels like every time that Refresh arrives at a team fight, he's just able to come out on top, as long as he's not diving a tier 2. Maybe that's a little bit too aggressive even for him.
Bit of a wallet diff for Refresh in this top side, one would say. It's throwing coins at them, slowly but surely killing them. Baron up in 2 minutes. That'll be the next objective to play for, and we can see the Vision contest coming out already. Darren is walking straight into the face of Fruity Carrot. SnapX on the wing. Crashdown comes in. There's the stun into the wall. Fruity Carrot's going relatively about half health. The knockup comes through. Timotop is there as well. SnapX will find that kill, and now everybody else has arrived.
Arrow lands.
Fino tagged by the Ash Arrow. Timotopper in the back. Fino next on the list to fall. Autoed down last, ghosting after this bot lane duo. And now Kiana in between a rock and a hard place. Timotopper will tank Caitlyn ult for Darren. And now Kiana and Sion on the run. Dusty looking for someone. Anybody can't quite land it. Timotop has still got the gold card locked. Does connect onto Dusty, but this Sion is oh so healthy. SnapX and Refresh playing to keep people out. Kiana has been caught. Kiana is going so low. Doesn't quite die as Fino. Now rooting this Aurelia in place. So much damage coming out of Brody though. Brody gets 1. Dusty will fall as well, but a 1-for-1 in this situation is not bad at all. It's a shutdown going to this Caitlyn. The second one from this Aurelia. Brody is oh so online. Stepping up aggressively. Gets stunned and caught by Darren. Brody going oh so low. Does able to net away. SnapX will get the kill, but Darren oh so low. Fino stepping forwards looking for something. There isn't much damage left to be had. Bit hyphy from Brody there.
Yeah.
Feeling himself a bit too much. Now Lasped. It's constant
Just
fighting.
run,
Kiting out this Zin's out. Of course, Ash slows make that very, very easy. If we look at what that's done to the gold lead, it's now still 7,000 in Paragon's favor. But look at Brody.
Brody is super strong. Is in a very, very good position. He's well over 1,000 gold ahead of his opponent, and Last hasn't played himself a bad game, but that's a 2-item Caitlyn. A third item, and this Caitlyn is going to be absolutely doming people. It's not quite the, what was it, lethality Caitlyn we saw at the start of the year that was just miserable, but this is still, you know, not that far off. It's all about if Brody is able to stun lock up Refresh, because Refresh in that teamfight bot lane was just able to immediately delete Brody off of the face of the earth, got onto Fino, and that's all she wrote in that team fight. Whereas in the top lane team fight, it looked like Refresh was going to be able to just eliminate Furno, and then they were just stun locked. Wasn't able to move whatsoever, and between Kiana, Brody, and Furno, there is plenty of CC. These three just have to work in tandem, though.
Arrow doesn't quite land onto Fino, and yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was Caitlyn trap into Karma W into another Caitlyn trap with a net there as well. It was triple headshot. So much damage coming out of this Caitlyn at this point.
You just need to you need to play careful around her. You can't step too far up, otherwise you're just gonna get completely shredded through. Refresh going in again onto Dusty. You wouldn't know that this Sion is tanky. You wouldn't know that this Sion has built directly to try to counter Refresh. Drippy Darren's around. Nah, I'm not going to be able to find anything off of that Hex Flash. We do have the Baron available at the same time. The next Drake spawning in just about 20 seconds time. It would be sole point for Nuclear Vikings if they're able to pick this one up, but Paragon are definitely in control of the pit right now.
Which is seemingly illegal based on what we've been seeing for most of the game. 6,000 gold lead for Paragon, not having control of an objective. Feels a bit bad as Fruity Carrots has found Darren. looking to go a little bit aggressive here, pushing them out of the river, forcing them away from this vision control that they oh so desperately want. Snepex just gonna tie up the Drake count again, 2 for 2. And with vision on the top side, Dragon cannot, or the Baron, sorry, cannot be snuck away.
No, that would be... I mean, it would be suicidal to try to take onto that one. It's not a good play. Dragon going over to Paragon 2 apiece, like you said. The gold is most definitely in the favour of Paragon, about 7,000. Timatopa gonna get dove right here, has the gold card, gets a good stun off, just gonna have to turn tail and run, blows the flash, Wimplecone's lightning does land though. Okay!
And now Darren and Refresh are here to play the rest of the fight. Last is found on Fruity Carrots. Kiana just able to run. Fruity Carrots will be Paragon's prize, but the jungler is dead. The Baron is up and available. Paragon, do they want to test their luck in a team fight where Fruity Carrots is dead? We'll find out. Looking on
Drippy
to Brody.
Darren.
Not quite able to find the slow. Does connect
He's
onto
slowed.
Brody. Has to flash away. Snepex now looking as well. Does get knocked up. Refresh dashing in onto Finno. Managed to get the ult knock up. Brody is already dead. Now Finno running for their life, just being walked at by this Aurelia. There is no hope of a team fight for this steal now. 2 seconds on Fruity Carrots. Maybe you get the miracle steal, but it's highly, highly unlikely. Paragon with a beautiful team fight win.
It's going to be incredibly risky to go for this Fruity Carrots. If you go in, try to steal this one away, don't manage it and die, you're just another member dead while the Baron buff is up and available. Not even going to get a chance to get into the pit, just going to take his own blue buff, stop that one at least from being stolen away. And Paragon with a massive gold lead and the Baron buff, going to be looking to at least crack the base, if not end the game. And it feels like you just can't get away from this composition. Sure, Last is getting out damaged by Brody, but who cares? You just land the slows and you've got an Aurelia to just walk at whoever your enemies are, and you're happy with the way that this game goes. Drippy Darren as well, I think has been playing a really impressive rail game, super proactive, just all across the map, trying to get involved in every situation that he possibly can.
Absolutely having a very, very good game on this rail. Finding so many good engages. A lot of their early leads in that bot lane definitely coming off the back of the amount of CC this Rel can provide. We're nearly hitting that point, the 10,000 gold lead. This is where we say most games are irreversible. This is where games become extremely hard to win. So Max, how do Nuclear Vikings turn this game around?
You've got to have this tandem between Kiana, Brody, and Inferno work. It's got to, all three of you, land your CC onto one of the key members, hopefully refresh, take him out, and then the fight is playable. You can't be expending too many resources to try to take out Timatopa or Last. They're not the key members. If you can find picks, that's fine, but don't overextend. Don't get too aggressive, because it can turn in an instant, and we've seen how Refresh is able to get in onto the flanks. Refresh currently has no teleport and no flash, so this is a really good opportunity to try to get something done, but it's pretty hard to pick somebody out. Refresh is always a bad decision. Timatopa has just shown us how he can get away in a lot of situations, but you have to find something.
Aaron just trying to get some wards down. Steal away the enemy red buff. Refresh boxing with Dusty. Vikings,
We see how that one goes.
Yeah, it feels as though they just can't step into their own jungle. Vision completely scanned for Nuclear Vikings. Paragon full control. So just trying to catch waves, waiting for this Baron buff to end eventually. Inevitably.
Refresh just constantly pushing Dusty in, and has been pretty good about not overextending when he doesn't see the rest of the team members. You know where everyone is, they're all mid. It's why Timatopa is able to get a big push going in the top lane. They might look to dive Dusty right now. That would be a little bit too aggressive even for Paragon. They're just going to chip away at this turret slowly. Finally get forced off. Furno has to arrive to stop this turret from just going down.
Now Last and Darren can get this wave in mid. Fruity Carrots and Brody the only ones here. Of course, this is a very lethal combo. The Ashe steps forward. The wave clear not so great as Refresh able to just bash on this bottom tower. Snepex forcing Dusty away. Not just saying, no, tower's ours. We're gonna force you into your own base.
Great use. of that keeper's verdict, just punting away the opposition. It puts you in a really good spot to be able to take these turrets, and this is an effective use of the Baron right now. They've taken their gold lead from the 10,000 point at which it was at, ballooned it up to, that's nearly 13,000 gold. Top lane though, Timatopa, luck might have finally run out, is going to get taken down. Teleport coming in though from Refresh.
And Dusty, so this does turn into a full-blown fight. And Refresh looking to do everything they can. Knocked up, almost able to kill 3 carrots, not quite enough. Snapx will secure that one. Refresh going oh so low. Kiana now running for the hills. Will shut down Refresh. Now it's a full fight. Drippy down, finds 3 with the Magnet Storm. As Fearno, only damage dealer left. Not even really a damage dealer. Body immediately blown up. Dusty now just being kited out by Last. This Ashe was not very strong, but now double tank killing items. The Scion doesn't exist. The Dragon is up, but honestly, this could be the game. 40-second death timers on all of the meaningful carries. One push down mid could definitely open this base, if not open the Nexus. I would imagine we take Inhib and go for Dragon here.
Yeah, it's the correct play. Don't overpush it, otherwise you're putting yourself in a very risky position. In fact, Snipex doesn't really do any damage to towers anyway. We're going to head straight back to start off onto this Dragon. You're going to get yourself Dragon, you're going to get mid lane inhibitor, and because Timatopa arrived to get a push onto bot lane, you get a little bit of chip damage onto this bot lane tier 3 as well. This is just a really... Oh no.
Interesting TF build, I must say.
I mean... Yeah, that's an interest. Sorry, the mid lane inhibitor has just thrown me. Guys,
how did they not get it?
They didn't take it.
What?
They just stepped back.
Huh. I guess they don't want to influx gold?
Yeah, perhaps. If so, that's a big brave maneuver. At the same time, having a mid lane inhibitor open right now when you've got less than a minute until Baron, that's pretty...
That could have been funny.
Internet connection things, it's all good. We are going to pick up this Drake for Paragon. They've only got one more until they need the soul, but perhaps 5 more minutes is longer than this game has left in it. 43 seconds until this Baron is going to be spawning. Quite a lot of vision for Nuclear Vikings, but Paragon haven't really focused their attentions up there quite yet. We'll have to see what Drippy Darren can do to even this one back out. And because Refresh got that Scuttle Crab, you're in a good spot to know what's happening anyway. Nuclear Vikings trying to steal away this Baron. Whilst they have a pretty fast Baron take, it would be incredibly risky for them to try this. No teleports available, so there is, I guess, a possibility, but, you know, the window has already closed. Now Paragon have returned back from their shopping trip. Arrow lands, no real follow-up.
Interesting use of the arrow there. Timatopa now here looking for something, but only really... Oh my god, that's so much damage onto the Scion. Full
That's a tank
armor.
Scion. Yeah.
Full armor. This TF is just starting to rip through. The Crypt Bloom, Lichbane really doing some work here. I was apprehensive of seeing the static and Rapture Cannon as the Scion ult goes a little bit wide, straight through the goalposts.
Last was out of position now though.
Forced to flash. Flash comes back in from Dusty in return, but still being kited out. Snapx now here to force the Scion away. Last is totally fine. The turret in the bot lane falls. Timatopa are able to break open the base. They're just toying with them at this point. The backs are being stopped. Dusty, the only one able to get back. Backs being interrupted. Refresh has broken bot lane, top lane. Timatopa broken bot. The Inhib mid will be the next to fall. All 3 will be gone. The Baron is up and available. Timatopa going to ult out to safety.
And they can just Baron now.
Baron into end is the player. Refresh. TP cancelled. Now got the base on their own. The ultimate has come through, I believe. The Baron is going low. Refresh. Oh, so low on health will fall to Brody. Baron is taken. Good catch by Fruity Carrots to stop Refresh having that buff. Arguably the worst person to have with it. But still 4 members with Baron.
It's good to get that catch, but still 4 members with the Baron. All 3 inhibitors down, well over the 10,000 gold mark that we usually look for an insurmountable lead. Paragon have all but won this game. They don't want to throw it like they did in the first round robin. This second round robin is starting off on a decidedly different note for Paragon. They've all of a sudden turned themselves around, pulled themselves back together. All it took was people moving around a little bit. Ferno gonna get stunned up by the TF. Just takes a gold card and 1 extra to get chunked by half of his health. It was an interesting composition out of Nuclear Vikings, the kind of composition you build when you just feel like you need something. Arrow flashed away from Ferno is just having to run for his life constantly.
Well, Karma can't get a step in edgeways. You would normally expect to see something like Malignance come out, but Finno going full on support in this game. And the scorelines for Paragon's 15,000 gold lead. Everybody doing extremely well. This is a decidedly different game from the first game of the split. And honestly, they've switched on.
Yeah.
They're finally online.
Huge gold advantages
Massive.
all across the board. I think it's only bot lane that's
Brody is still
even.
in the lead, which I find magnificent.
Brody has been a really good carry for Nuclear Vikings. Unfortunately, doesn't seem like it's been enough so far. Not sure it's going to be enough in this game.
Both the ultimates go wide from StepX and Last, and now Refresh taking so low. It's Finno, Darren looking for anything, and Refresh already kills Finno. Brody on the backside trying to do everything they can. They're already dead. Kiana next on the list. Timotop are finding them. The only one left alive. Never mind, Dusty still alive in the backline. Fruity Carrot's already fallen. Dusty next on the list. Kiana trying to do everything they can on their own, but there's nothing left to be said, nothing left to be done. Paragon have turned it round and go to 4-4. At the start of the second round, 1-7 for the Vikings. Not quite able to conquer new lands today. Well, conquer old lands in this case. They've been reconquered. Paragon really, really finding their way forwards.
I get the feeling right now that if you're Paragon, you come into the second round robin and you're like, right, we're 1-0. Like, nothing happened in the first. The first round robin wasn't real. But the end half of that first round robin was good. They started to pull things together, but that was a complete and utter domination of a team that beat them early on. I think that there's just something different in the water that they're drinking right now over at Paragon, because it was not good from them, but individually it was fine. All of a sudden it seems like they've remembered that they actually do have the ability to communicate, to play together, and now that they are, individually it feels like they're all stepping up, but at the same time that team play, that coordination, so good.
I do think these role swaps have done wonders for them, really finding their groove now. And I'm excited to see how this team does against some of our upper echelon teams. Now, commiserations to Nuclear Vikings, but very well played game from Paragon. We are going to throw to a very, very short break, but don't go anywhere, for when we come back, we will have Verzik versus Ruddy for the final game of the day. We will see you then.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, live.
Welcome back, everybody, to the final game of the day. Verzik Esports up against Ruddy Painkillers. It's going to be a game based on these teams' histories. Max, do you want to run us through these teams' histories just a little bit?
So Verzik have not had a great time. They had a really bad early split, but all of a sudden it did feel like they were beginning to turn things on. They beat Nuclear Vikings, not in the last show day, but the time before. They also had themselves another win. I can't entirely remember who it was up against, but it was against a decent opponent. But then they had their little win streak that they just about been able to find for themselves snapped by Paragon. The thing is, Paragon seems like all of a sudden, I'd genuinely put it there, one of the stronger teams that we have. If we're looking at the top echelon of teams, Lions Creed, Venom Crest, Ruddy, Paragon. I think those are the top tier. But unfortunately for Verzik, I just said Ruddy as one of those top teams. They are currently in possession of second place. If they win today, then they will have sole possession, no tiebreakers needed, just straight up they are in second place victory. If they lose today, then all of a sudden it's back down to head-to-head, which at the moment is still Ruddy favoured versus Venom Crest, but obviously we've still got a lot of League of Legends left to play, so they really need a win today.
Absolutely do. Beating out Belfast Storm and Nuclear Vikings, it's no small feat, but it is definitely leading us to think that this could be possible for the Demons. I think Ruddy are on a tear though. Puru, Crisis coming in as the mid-jungle duo for the last few games. Puru, a long-time UKAL player known for things like the Zac and in past seasons the Rumble.
Yeah.
Very, very scary. And Crisis, initially the mid laner for this roster last split, if memory serves. And then alongside Tyron, and then moved into the jungle when Ketsuo joined in as well. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this game goes. Both Ketsuo and Crisis play the Wind Brothers, so we might see that come through again today. Without further ado, let's have a look at the draft, see just how this goes. Some of you remember Verzik had Swarm Blessed playing in their last game. Dokai is back today. We have Dokai ready and waiting for us. And just at first look at the drafts, what are the first impressions we're seeing here?
I'm seeing a Zac, and I think you can
Zac.
tell quite how much Bartholdi has scarred me from earlier today, because I was immediately like, no. But
it's
Peruzak.
Peruzak.
Yeah, and Peruzak is a whole different beast. I'm just going to quickly say, Bartholdi is a great player, I just did not enjoy the Zac today. But Peruzak is a whole different beast. Like, this was easily one of their best champions.
I'm going to say it now, and I'm sure you'll hear me say it several times throughout team fights. Third time in a row, he can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah.
Peruzak cannot keep getting through.
It just lives for so long, always finding those knockups in the backline as well with the elastic slingshots, with the let's bounce. So if he's able to pull it out, that's going to be huge. I'm once again also seeing a TF, and TFs have been having a great win streak today.
It's Akker's TF. Akker's is finally going to have a carry game. I was saying it in the green screen on the green room on Thursday. We haven't really seen Akker's carry much.
No.
This is his game. This is the chance. Early game bot lane, utility mid, scaling carry top lane. Gonna be exciting. On the other side, we are looking at double 80 carry with pretty solid frontline Sheeta on that Udyr. Or the Jax, Sheeta Strangler. They can pretty much say, you take one, I'll take the other. Tristana going to take cool in the mid lane, Soren J on the Varus. Or again, that can be switched around one way
If you want
or the
to,
other.
yeah. I like it. If this goes late, if this goes long, Verzik are in a really good position with their double 80 carries. They've got good front line. They've got a proactive jungler either way. Whenever I see the Udyr, though, I get a little bit nervous. I think that the Udyr can struggle a little bit in just straight-up skirmishes until all of a sudden you manage to just isolate a carry and chase it down, beat it to death as the Udyr. That's where you can really come online. Both of these compositions have got different win conditions. Verzik, they want to find themselves either the 1-3-1, or you can just go all in on the team fight, whereas Ruddy, anytime that you've got a TF and an Ashe, you're looking for a catch. You want to find one person out of position, catch them out, take them down, and then roll that into the rest of the team fight.
And Relzak guides do that oh so well. Now, I was going to say it looks like these comps are in order, but I don't think that's the case with Rel mid and Tristana jungle.
Don't give me
At
the
least I should hope
jungle.
not. I should hope not. No, we'll see. But yes, Ruddy have a very, very good pick into teamfight combo with their team, whereas Verzik, you're looking at more side lane pressure, you're looking at more nullification, you're looking at slower fights overall. But also very, very hard to pick off these backline carries. The only concern is you don't really have any magic damage outside of this Udyr, and you're into Zac Rel.
We
so
just
it's
saw
gonna
it
be
in the
hard.
previous game. Magic damage is useless.
Magic damage.
It's
I don't
not,
know.
though.
I mean, you saw
It's
what Timothy
this-
Topper was doing.
Yes, Timothy
Could be
was
AP
doing
Varus.
a surprising amount. And in this situation, in this game, there are a lot more tanky carries. It's not just the Scion you're worrying about. There are more champions that can build some magic resist as well as armor if you have a split damage profile. But if they're able to just go all in on armor, it's that much more effective. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily spell the end of the game. I feel like it used to. In years past, if you didn't have a magic damage carry, you failed your draft. You didn't have a composition. Whereas now, I feel like you can get away with it.
Yeah, you also got the option for AP Varus. But on that note, I think, for me, Ruddy take this game off draft.
I'd
And I
much
think-
prefer Verzics.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to see how that goes. So, again, Aspect of Chaos is at front. It's a 1-1 on predictions. I believe you won the last one, so we'll see who takes
We'll
this
see.
one. But with that, the Ruddy Ducks ready to go up against the Demons from Hell, risen to Earth on Verzik as we head into game, the final game of the day. Verzik versus Ruddy. Buckle your seatbelts, everybody, because these ducks, they're ready for a meal.
Absolutely, they are hopping onto the Rift. Let's go. Just a quick reminder, if you are watching this game at the moment, there is going to be more UKEL coming up right after this game finishes. We'll be heading back to live. This is the last of the recorded games. Spectators fixed. Everybody celebrate. But before we can get there, before we can get to those live games, we're just going to have to watch this final recorded one. Ruddy, they can pick up this win. They're in sole possession of second place, and that's huge because second round robin, we're getting towards that time where playoffs become the conversation. You want to be in control of that second spot, fight for that first spot. We've now seen that Lions Creed can bleed. You got to keep within touching distance.
Absolutely do. As we see a standard 5-point cover at the start of this game. It is Jax top. It is Varus ADC. Looking at being a lethality Varus based on runes. It is TF top on the other side. So definitely a strong showing so far. I'm going to be honest. Part of me in the back of my mind, I was like, this is Akers taking Zac top. Lissandra going support and Rell going jungle with the TF mid. That didn't happen as they're cool looking. Just get a bit of a trade onto Crisis here. Half health taken away by that explosive charge. Tristana, very, very strong in these early stages. Just able to trade with you so effectively. And level 2 is no cakewalk either.
Yeah, you are not having a particularly good time in the mid lane right now as Crisis. Just going to get poked out. I mean, it is a range versus range matchup, but the Tristana with that explosive bomb just has a little bit more that you can lay down. This top lane, really interesting matchup. I feel like you don't see a lot of. Shida getting very aggressive right now, doing a decent chunk of damage to Akers. But you should be winning this one out as the TF. As long as you space correctly, avoid getting jumped on too much with that Counter-Strike. Range versus melee, constantly stunning up, dealing as much damage as possible to just keep yourself in a good situation, because once you hit level 3, that's the point at which these melee champions can just try to go all in, leap in. We've got both of these junglers starting themselves up towards the top side of the map. Bot lane could definitely get explosive. Both of these supports have the ability to really pop off.
Definitely do, and this is such a sheer style, just going so aggressive onto the enemy this early on. Able to find the jump, doesn't quite time the Counter-Strike properly though. Heavy trading for now. Bot lane shoved in, mid lane shoved in. Same clear path towards this bot side. Again, we're seeing a bot focused game, just leaving the top lane to their devices.
No longer are the days when Udyr clears at Mach 20. He's a little bit slower now, going to be relatively on pace with the Zac. A little bit faster he should be, but oh, interesting. Going to skip his red, head straight down to the Krugs, and potentially wants to try to skirmish for this initial Scuttle Crab. Top lane getting so low for both of these teams. You still have the Ghost and Flash as Akers, so you can potentially go for this one, but it would be super risky. Big minion wave, though, if Shida wants to try to fight into it.
It is very big indeed, but of course that Counter-Strike kind of nullifies that need. See if the trade is taken. Shida very low, but one combo should kill Akers. Gonna be close. Waiting with bated breath to see if anything happens as Crisis roaming up for this dive. Akers knowing they can't step too close. The stun lands onto Shida, and now the flash has to be blown. No kill, but a good use of timings to allow for this flash to be blown onto Shida. But now Strangler looking up towards this top side. Will get spotted out as now Akers looking for something. Anything does get the first blood, will trade their life, and now Strangler is running after Crisis. Very low, you have to think, just dead. It's 2 for 1, but the first blood going over to Akers.
Akers just had to get something done in that situation. You've got the jungler behind you. You're going to die because you are so pushed up, so you have to just go in that situation. Manages to pick up the kill. 1 for 1 first blood, though, worth just a little bit of extra gold. Going to be able to get back to lane with those full plated steel caps. That's going to take a lot of Shida's damage down, make it a lot easier to play into this top lane matchup. But also, Strangler managing to pick up a first kill, and that's what you really need as the Udyr. You have to get this champion off of the ground. I feel like we've all seen a lot of pro-level Udyrs just not really do anything when picked, but at this level, it seems like the Udyr is able to get a lot more done.
Certainly does, and Shida just kind of being abused into the range versus melee matchup. Difficult on all fronts. Play cool. just, trading very lightly with Crisis. Just a little pat on the head.
It's
Just
a
hi,
mid
I'm still
lane.
here.
Mid lane is the new top lane. I think mid lane just doesn't do anything in and of itself for the most part. Of course, now I've said that, we're going to get an explosive mid lane. I'm fine with this caster curse. I would love to see mid laners actually solo kill each other again. But I honestly have not seen that in months. Mid laners seem to just farm up, join skirmishes, but in their own lane, it feels like the new wet noodle fight, which is really interesting for champions that are designed to be able to kill each other.
Yeah, definitely a unique style of play in the current meta. We do still have some champions that can kill this. Tristana, one of them. So much pressure in the early stages of the game. Not quite level 6. Can be punished by Crisis here if stepping a little bit out of line. Should pick that up very, very soon. Bot lane, just a bit of a snooze fest, just a bit of a farming lane. Don't allow this Ashe to get a lead, and you will be thankful for it later.
We've seen what an Ashe with a lead can do. As soon as he gets slowed up, it makes it almost impossible to be able to get away. Interesting to see if this is going to be the on-hit virus. No, it should just be straight up lethality, chunk you down. Possibly AP, you are absolutely right. Two Carls, Bruce sat in this bush, potentially looking to try to get involved in this bot lane, but Soranjay and Dokai are sat pretty far back. It would be a very, I was going to say risky play, but now it's a lot less risky.
Crisis also roaming down there aware. Puru has landed into both. Soranjay just instantly popped. It's the first kill for Sin on the board, looking pretty. Ghost was used, the Ignite was used, so was the Cleanse from this Varus. Now the Dragon is free for the taking. Strangler and Tycool looking towards the first set of grubs.
Yeah, just going to be the standard trade that we see all the time. Strangler picking these ones up. Honestly, with double ADC and a Jax, I much prefer getting the grubs. If you can get all 6 grubs in this situation, your split push side lane is going to be huge. This composition can absolutely 1-3-1. You can send the Tristana into a side lane. She's pretty good at being able to jump away, not get too close. If you do get up to a turret with the grubs, can shred through it. Same thing that a Jax can do on the other side of the map. And because you have TPs on both of these carries, they can join these team fights very easily. So getting these grubs, I think, is significantly more important. Obviously, you don't want to give over soul, but if you trade the first 2 Drakes for all 6 of the grubs, you're in a very strong position. I don't think Peru is going to want to give that one away, though. I think Peru is going to be well aware of this. Sheeta getting aggressive. Akka's taking a ton of damage.
Just a massive, massive hit so far. I mean, this top lane, it's just so back and forth in terms of damage. Strangler on the top side, possibly looking for something here. Was looking to steal away the Krugs, but doesn't feel so happy. Both Jamsu and Puru now in the area. The TF ult has been popped for vision. Doesn't look like it's going to be used in any sort of aggressive way, though. Bot tower is next on the list. Sin, of course, cannot really step up here. No easy way to be able to defend this tower solo. Jamsu still looking aggressively on Strangler. Just going to be the fight for vision as they maybe look to dive Sheeta here. Jumps in, does manage to get the pullback. The stun lands. Akkas will take that kill. Strangler just has to catch this wave. Very, very dangerous. A threat of dive themselves. Very beautifully executed dive from Ruddy.
Yeah, really well played out of Ruddy. They're going to be able to pick themselves up another kill onto that Akka's carry. You said it during draft phase. We don't see Akka's carrying that often, but when he does, really good at being able to take these champions through and just run the game. TF is one of the best ones for that as well, because you can get all over the map so incredibly quickly. Tycho gonna go in onto Crisis.
Just a bit of a sneaky little trade it.
Hurts though.
Yeah, I mean, Tristana, definitely one of these champions that can bash your face in if you're not careful. Sitting on that pickaxe
passive
as well.
The passive on the exploding minions was just chunking out Crisis again and again. Tycho, that could have been a stopped base, isn't in the end. And so as we come out of this first 10 minutes up, we've got the next set of grubbies. They'll be spawning in about 2 and a bit minutes time. Next Drake, 2 minute 40 seconds away as well. Peru gonna need to get up to the top lane. Don't want to give over all 6 of the grubs, otherwise you're going to be in a very bad spot come late game when split pushing can happen. However, the top lane is in a very strong position, and with ultimates available once again. Hang on, Jamsu. He's fine. Yeah, with ultimates available once again, this Twisted Fate, it becomes a real thorn in everybody's side. So that Destiny means that he could join any team fight incredibly quickly.
And the thought of this TF joining a team fight is absolutely terrifying when you consider the easy lockdown on Varus, on Tristana Strangler now looking for Peru. Dokai here as well, as is Tycool. The explosive charges down the flash away from Peru. The stun lands. Buster Shot will push them away. Cellular Division has been hit. Jamsu will be on the chopping block now. Soren J will take one. Tycool will take the other. The grubs are up soon, and a beautiful catch from Verzik will put them ever so slightly back in the lead.
Yeah, they've got themselves into a nice spot.
Ooh.
Sin gonna be threatened with the dive. Tokai is gonna pop himself the ult. Sin flashes away. Strangler right on top of him though is slowed up. Just trying to get away. Not gonna happen. That piercing arrow gonna land. Crisis here, but I don't really know if he wants to step up to these 3. Dokai is a little bit low. Doesn't have the ult anymore. Forced to flash. That should be the disengage that they need. And a clean dive executed for Verzik.
So much damage coming out of this Varus already. Not even a full item, and already that Blighted Quiver empowered piercing arrow just completely ruining Sin's health bar.
It was like he's low, and dead. Just popped from absolutely nowhere. I've seen that plenty whenever we duo, and Soren J showing us just an incredibly high level of Varus already. Hasn't even completed that cull, neither has Tycool, so both of these still have got a good chunk of gold income left to get in. Soren J though already completed up that first item, gonna have that Yomu, so it's gonna be one speedy Varus as well. And whenever you do go for this lethality Varus, the speed up that you get from Yomu's just adds to the amount of terror that you get, because all of a sudden that ultimate is that much easier to hit.
He's Newman. There's hackers looking to just take these grubs down. No real way to contest coming through from Verzik. It will just be a 3-for-3 in the end. But I mean, that still bolsters the pushing power of Verzik so heavily.
Look at Soren J. That's 3 plates now that he has.
Massive gold influx, and they're looking for some kind of backline dive in this bot lane. It is caught on a ward, so Dokai's going to clear that out as the TF ult comes in to provide vision and safety to this bot lane. They cannot step in. Aka's taking a bit of a poor trade on the top side. It looks like tower not quite going to be forfeit with Crisis hanging in the wings, but with Crisis hanging in the wings, Tycool getting to just free shove mid.
Alrighty, as Shida taking a decent chunk of damage and a turret shot, just gonna have to turn tail and run. Still not under that much threat at the moment from this TF. The TF definitely gonna be a lot scarier for the squishier members, Tycool, Soren J. Those are the ones that you're really gonna be looking for. Speaking of Tycool, also getting himself a couple of turret plates mid lane, trying to use that Demolish. Tristana with Demolish as well. That's gonna be terrifying once you get later on. If you let this Tristana get up to any turrets, just gonna get melted down so incredibly quickly. It was good though out of Peru to be able to get that second set of grubs. Nobody has those little extra boys to help them out with the pushing power, which is a shame. I think they're quite fun whenever they're on the board, but yeah, both of these teams going to be pretty happy to walk away evens and not give anything too much up. Next strike is available, pings onto it from Verzik. There is a little bit of vision around. Ruddy are going to be aware that this is happening. They do have the members about if they want to contest.
Looks like they might try Peru walking in currently, being forced back by Dokai.
TP.
Looks like they're just peeling off and allowing Soren J to play this. The TPs have come in, and Peru going oh so low. Tries to get into pit, but can't quite do it. Soren J's on a killing spree, and the dragon will go over to Verzik. TP was used from Shader, and the dragon was secured, and Peru's life was forfeit. Verzik, they have an iron fist over this early game.
Yeah.
Chasing down Crisis. I think Crisis is out. That Glacial Path a little bit too strong.
It's pretty hard to chase onto Lissandra. I mean, unless you're playing the Kassadin or something, it's difficult, let's say, to be able to chase one of those around. It does mean that you have pushed the rest of Ruddy well off of this objective. Herald just going to go over nice and easily to Verzik. They pick themselves up the Drake and the Herald. Drakes are now at 1 apiece. Interesting to see where this... Oh. Okay, bye, Sheeta.
Bye, Sheeta. Caught between a blob, an iron horse, and a gambler. A card slinger. You're dying by paper cuts, dude. Come on. Death by paper cuts. Possibly my favorite line for TF for ADTF in the world.
Oh, that's
Strangler
excellent.
Gonna have to.
I was already going
from
from Iron Horse, and then Gambler just sent me that. Oh man. Anyway, ignoring the fact that clearly dad jokes are my weakness, this game definitely in the favour of Verzik. It's only a 2k gold lead, so it's not out of touch for Ruddy, and they do have a composition that can really come online once the first couple of items do get built. First item's pretty much built for everybody other than Puru. Puru's still going to need to pick himself up a little bit more gold to fully complete himself. I think that's going to be the Barmies? Not the Barmies. Sunfire. Sunfire Cape. That's
most likely.
That's the one that my brain is trying to think of. Iron Horse and Gambler. God damn it.
And while Max gets hung up on that, let's take stock of the game as a whole so far. Verzik in a very, very strong point. Of course, it is 1 Drake apiece, as Max mentioned previously. 3 minutes, 4 minutes roughly, until this Baron is up. 2 minutes, 40 seconds. There's Puru looking for something on the bot side, can't quite find it. 2 minutes and 40 seconds until this Dragon is up and available. I'd imagine that will be our next big fight. So, Max, tell us, what do you want to see Ruddy do in these next couple of fights to try and take this back?
You need to get yourself some control either over the mid lane or the bot lane, and then just know where the flank wards are, because Sheeta flanking onto the back line was what kind of broke that bot lane fight wide open. Obviously, the teleports are not quite up and available, but in 2 minutes' time, once the Drake is, those will be back as well. So you're once again vulnerable to a potential flank. So sweep out the vision and try to get some control over the pit yourself. Giving this one over is also not the end of the world, though. It's, you know, it's not great. Obviously, Hextech Drake is one of the strongest that you can get, but at the same time, giving over this next one, it's only 2. It would only be 2 to Verzik. You don't have to fight for that, but if you don't, what are you doing instead? Can you get yourself this mid lane tower down? It's taken a decent chunk of damage. It's still quite healthy, but that is a possibility. Still, just establish your dominance in one of these lanes, get some vision down, sweep out behind you, and then you should be in a better position for these fights than you were in the previous couple.
Definitely should be, as it looks like they're just trying to find some kind of catch.
They want Tycho so bad, but he just steps back every time.
Doing so well. Strangler now up towards this top side, as is Tycho looking for something onto Akers. Does have the Destiny available to see. Looks like Akers looking to move towards the bot side. The Herald has been popped. The tower will fall first. Tower goes bot lane, top lane.
Dive
Even
bot.
Dokai has been caught by Puru. Jamsu here as well, as Soren J gets caught, but the arrow goes so
Wow.
wide. Soren J going over so low, shut down by Puru. The cow. The unbreakable will keep them alive for now. That's 2 towers top lane for their troubles.
You
That's
don't...
a lot of that's a lot wasted for 2 towers, and now Dokai will fall eventually. Sin, second kill of the game. Puru doesn't die, but you've lost 2 towers for this. It's so hard.
Oh, hang on, top.
Hackers.
Sheeta could just play that one, I think. Strangler also just getting chunked out right now. Destiny was popped, I think, just for vision. Strangler needs to run, gets
Akers
brought
did die.
down.
Akers did die in the 1v2 top side, and now Crisis on the run as well. The shielding goes so high.
Boy.
Stunned out of the glacial path.
Yep, really nice. Strangler playing that one. It looked like he was going to get taken out. That Frozen Tomb was huge, but then Strangler all of a sudden just over time deals so much more damage. You can see it's a Leandries, so it's going to be an AP build onto this Udyr heavily rather than just going for the straight up tanky build. Now has the Frozen Heart completed, so he's both going to deal a ton of damage over time as well as be able to sit in the team fights for a really long time. This is a great position for Strangler to be in. Now the tower going to get taken down as well, and this gold lead has ballooned about 3,000-4,000 at this point. Verzik, they're playing up against one of the best teams in our league, currently the 2nd best team in our league, and it seems like they're turning this one around.
definitely are. Shader Jax online, Strangler Udyr online, both the AD carries also online. Verzik really having fun playing with this game. They are now 2 Drakes to 1 with that Drake taken in the bot side, and Nashor is up in 17 seconds. Could look for an early catch onto that. Aka's just trying to get whatever they can in this top side. Peru is in the area, has caught Shida.
Oh.
He's just taking the 1v1 for now, healing oh so much as there is someone coming through the Hex Gate. Jamsu there. The arrow doesn't quite land. Shida jumping back onto Aka's. The ultimate is popped. There is no counter-strike. Aka's will take that kill for themselves. Now Dokai and Tycool sandwiching the 4 members of Ruddy, but the Ducks aren't scared. The TP from Crisis coming through. Tycool is being dove. The rocket jump is cancelled by the Elastic Slingshot. The stun comes in and it's another shutdown for Sin as Soren J doing everything they can. The ultimate is popped and now 2 members down for Verzik. The Demons, they faltered and the Ducks are looking for Baron.
Wow, Ruddy going straight onto the Baron. They've got a relatively quick take. Puru, though, he needs to keep picking up those blobs, otherwise he's going to be in a very risky position. But with 2 members down, it looks like Verzik are just going to concede this one. A 20-minute Baron take off of a catch onto Shida, fine. But Tycool teleported into that top lane tower, got taken out. Really nice cancel onto the rocket jump. And at that point, this game that was feeling so strong, so favoured to Verzik, all of a sudden, Ruddy swing this one back. The gold lead has disappeared, and they can look to build one of their own through this Baron.
Certainly can. Aka's trying to find onto Strangler, but the Hex Gate comes in just in time. Destiny's Gate is now down. Now, we hope.
Right.
We wait. We see. Can the Demons pick up their fumble? Takes it even to the gold pretty much entirely off the back of that Baron.
God, there's such a good American football Super Bowl joke in here, but nobody's gonna get it, so oh well. Instead, I'll just say that Ruddy trying to siege onto this mid lane turret. They do have that Baron empowered cannon minion, but it's not really able to get on top of this. Tycool gonna get jumped on again. Gold card not gonna be able to land onto Tycool. Instead, it goes onto this turret, but this tier 2 is gonna be chunked down quite heavily. Verzik though looking to collapse.
Tycool going nuts. The Aka's going oh solo. Tycool jumping forward. Puru is next. Dokai tanks the arrow. It hits onto nobody. Meaningful as Puru going oh solo. The Cell Division is popped. Jamsu here to help get Aka's to safety. Puru will just die. Tycool will get that shut down. So much damage coming out of this Tristana, and there's not a single bit of armor shred on her yet.
How dare you call Dokai nobody important, nobody meaningful? That's so rude. No, I know exactly what you mean. It could have landed onto one of the big carries. Dokai tanking that one up, even if I think unintentionally, still really good for the team. And this game is so back and forth. I really thought that the previous game between Venom Crest and DMG? No. Yes.
No, Venom Crest in Belfast.
Venom Crest and Belfast, that's the one, was the most back and forth game that I've seen, but nah, this one is really competing for that title. Incredible swings for both of these teams. Shida once again stepping up. He does have 2 enemy members around and a Rel that can potentially join. Is Shida really strong enough for this? Nope.
The Flash. Glacial Prison does, or not Glacial Prison, Frozen Tomb does land on Aka's. Just going to pick up their 4th kill of the game. 2 items strong on this Twisted Fate now, really getting into carry territory. Really poor timing from Shida. Walking in, thinking they had the flank on Aka's, didn't realize Crisis was just around the corner, gets absolutely popped, and loses the flash for their troubles.
Big push going on while all of that was happening from Tycool, but you can't really siege into the face of an Ashe. I think was able to pick up that tier 2 turret, so doing a decent job of it.
The top tier 2 was already gone.
Ah, okay. I was going to say, I didn't think you'd be able to just siege straight into the Ashe. Indeed, wasn't able to. Was just getting a good push going. Now going to head down, join the rest of the team. 47 seconds now until this Drake is going to be spawning. Soul point for Verzik if they're able to pick it up. Ruddy looking to even it back to 2 apiece. Keep this Elder buff as far in the future as possible, because God, is it a scary buff to have on the board. The possibility of throwing it is devastating to a lot of teams. Tycool still top lane, does have the teleport to join back with the rest of the team. You can, good use of the bloom right there. Otherwise that would have been terrifying.
Yeah, very nice use there to catch Tycool unawares, knowing that Tristana's there. Aka's can just leave. And I love how the spectate bug still hasn't been fixed, by the way. It's still showing Cloud Drake instead of Hextech.
Of course. It's fine. We know what happens. Just gotta look at the Rift. Straight onto the Dragon goes the members of Ruddy. It looks like there's going to be no real response out of anybody on Verzik. Strangles up in the top side, looking to catch right now onto Akers.
Happy to keep this slow.
Oh, the fail flash!
It's just going so fast. Just burnt down, shut down for this Udyr. 3-0 and 5. Strangler having a beautiful game on this
really
Udyr. Fail flash and the TP. There's a lot of resources wasted.
Udyr top runs into a lot of problems, I think, where you just struggle to get much going. But Udyr jungle, when you can get an initial kill or really work with the rest of your team, it's so beautiful. And that Wingborn Storm is insane. It just does so much damage when you're able to pick yourself up with Liandry's first. Now going towards the full tanky build is just going to be in a super strong position to sit in the backline, deal a ton of damage. At the same time though, Sin is getting to the point where he's going to be able to shred. Once you've got yourself that Trinity and Kraken Slayer completed, you are in a pretty good position to be able to get through tanks. It's just about how much Sin is going to be able to sit there and auto, and how much he's just going to be forced to run away. Same thing really with Akers, I think.
Run away! Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think this is a hard game to call, because it feels like neither team is having an easy time sieging, but neither team is having an easy time picking fights either.
No, it's really difficult to find them. It seems like it has to be
Crisis.
flanks. Speaking of Crisis,
Is caught, is burning so quickly. The storm is shredding, dragged to the icy tundra where she belongs. Lissandra will fall, but the arrow lands on Soren J. The cleanse will do.
Okay,
Not
okay,
quite
that's a
going
cleanse.
all the way to the icy tundra today. Only so far as to where we're dragging Lissandra back by the scruff of her neck, says Udyr. Yeah, I'm not done with you yet. Straight back to the Freljord.
indeed, and man, I really like this combo between Dokai and Strangler. I think that Udyr and Alistair, you have so much CC and so much damage between you. Oh,
The
interrupt.
cancel.
I mean, how much do you really want to catch the Zac, though, to be fair? That is an anathemas on the Zac.
That's
Who's
just
that
up.
on? Oh, straight onto the Baron. Never you mind. Straight onto the Baron. Going to be spotted out, though.
Aka's looking for a way in. Puru on the backside, the TP coming in from Shida, and the gate coming in from Aka's. It's a 5v5. Shida is on the backline, has caught 3 on the backside, and Puru is in on their own against 4. The Nasher goes down to Strangler, a good smite. Shida will fall, but so will Puru, and now the fight continues. Chain of Corruption lands onto Akers, and now Jamsu with a 3-man Magnet Storm. It's not quite enough, there's not enough damage. Jamsu is falling, Sin is oh so low. Akers will go down as well. The arrow catches onto Strangler, but it's not enough. Crisis and Sin, the only members left alive, running for their lives.
Oh, Crisis only alive because he respawned halfway through that fight. Baron, 3 kills, gonna go over to Verzik. Back and forth continues in this game just after Ruddy felt like they were getting their feet back under them. Swept back out again by Verzik. They're gonna be able to easily pick themselves up this tier 2 mid lane turret. Now gonna be looking for the inhibitor turret. Swinging on forwards. You do have a Lissandra, but I don't know how much wave clear she's really going to be able to provide. This inhibitor just going to go down. Not going to be able to finish the game up at this point, though. Gonna back off instead. Verzik, next Drake spawning in a minute 30 seconds. It would be soul point for either team, but they're definitely in the strongest position to take this one.
Definitely are, and Hextech Soul, a terrifying soul to give to either team. Verzik, I mean, props to Shida, finding 3 people on the backside of that fight, forcing them to focus through the counter-strike, just meant that Puru jumping in on his own couldn't get anything done. Solid smite from Strangler, and Verzik will come out on top. The demons are rising oh so slowly to tear the heavens down atop the Ducks. It looks like they're gonna succeed if this carries on.
Oh, I love the hype, and then it's the Ducks. That's just brilliant. And I mean, it deserves it in this situation. First game of the second round robin. This is where things really become do or die. We've seen Paragon, after a terrible start, turn things around for themselves. Verzik also looking to turn things around for themselves, and it means that some of our top teams all of a sudden showing weakness, beginning to bleed. Tycho just gonna get jumped on.
Talking about seeing weakness and showing them bleed.
Arrow.
Will tank up the arrow as well. The rocket jump will still go through into the QSS. Puru has found the knock-up. Tycool like to fall here, doing a good bit of damage in the meantime, and now the Glacial, or the Frozen Tomb, onto Strangler. That's a confusing thing when they have so many similar ability names. And it's 2 dead, 2 Barons gone, and a siege into the top side for Ruddy Ducks. Ruddy Painkillers don't need no painkillers off the back of that fight.
No, they're going to be happy with the way that that one went, managing to claw things back once again, back and forth. Whilst that's going on, Shida does manage to get a push going in the mid lane, so somebody is going to have to head back and respond to this one. Shida, though, spotted out with the Destiny, just going to have to turn tail and run.
Akers looking for Shida. Puru and Jams through that as well. The Counter-Strike
the
flash
flash!
forwards. Puru going oh solo, heals very barely. Shida now almost dead. Soren J will take Puru. Shida going oh solo. The stun will land, but the Counter-Strike will keep them alive for a little bit longer. Akers on the sidelines. Dokai now the focus for the rest of the team. Crisis falls to Soren J.
And again?
And again, Dokai. Oh, so close to Akers. Will burn down, not quite. Soren J with the snipes off the back of the fight. Akers barely living on what looked like a dangerous lost situation. Shida turns into a beautifully played fight from Verzik.
Soren J, man, on this Varus is just hitting the snipes again and again and again. And I think this is where the lethality Varus can really pop off. I don't love the lethality Varus when you are the only AD threat on your team, but if you've got a Jax in the top lane and a Tristana in the mid lane, yeah, you can sit back and be that big burst carry for your team. Absolutely, an artillery man, if I've ever seen one. And Soren J is playing that, not to perfection, but I think as close to it as can be expected from this level of competition. And it's keeping his team well in it. That's now going to be a second Hextech Drake, third Drake of the game for Verzik. They are now on Soul Point. 5 minutes time until this game could be cracked wide open. That being said, we've got another possibility for that to happen in about 2 minutes time when the next Baron spawns. That first Baron for Ruddy wasn't the biggest. They weren't able to get that much done off of it, but still they were able to use it to try to even up the gold a little bit. 3k in the advantage of Verzik right now. But we are rapidly approaching the point at which gold leads matter less and less as items are completed, and it's all about what the scaling of your champion is and what you can do with those items.
Certainly is, and I mean Verzik definitely hitting that point. But only time will tell. Akers really getting online at this point as well, and that's where things get scary. It's Akers and Sin versus Tycool and Soren J. But Strangler oh so strong as well. I mean, the Medjai's not really doing much for them at this point. That one death apparently caused a lot of hurt onto that item, but no.
So tense. This one feels incredibly tense.
Bated breath.
Yeah, back and forth. Less than a minute now onto the Baron. You've got the initial push through from Verzik. They're going to be able to set up all of their wards, some good deep wards as well. Potential flank wards if you really want it from Shida. Has teleport up. Tycool is not going to have teleport up, so you want Shida to be down in the bottom lane catching these waves to rejoin later on. Nobody really got teleport available. Crisis is going to get back for him at some point for Ruddy. You've also got the Destiny, of course, onto Akers, but still not ideal. If you can catch Crisis out right now, this would be huge.
Shida caught now. Crisis drops the ultimate, stunned up. Strangler now trying to do everything they can. Akers going very, very low, not doing anywhere near enough damage, and Dokai's here as well. Akers will fall. Crisis next on the list. Puru is keeping Soren J out of the fight. The arrow is charged. The stun comes in. The Glacial Path is doing everything it can. And now you've got Puru has one-shot Soren J. And now it's Dokai and Strangler again against every single living member of Ruddy. Tycool nowhere near this fight. Dokai will fall. It's a 3 for 2 in favor of Ruddy. Knocking on the doors of the base. 40 seconds until this AD carry has respawned. 25 until this Jax, Strangler, and Tycool, the only members left alive. Tycool going to melt through this front line though. If this fight is one that Ruddy want to take, you have to take it fast.
Looks like Ruddy, they're just going to get away from this one. They've gotten everything that they could possibly have wanted. Getting a bot lane inhibitor down when the Baron is available is huge, because it means that somebody has got to be down in the bottom lane for Verzik as far away as possible from the Baron. It's exactly what you want to get. Mid lane inhibitors are cool, but side lane inhibitors are everything in this game. Picking that one up going to be really good for Ruddy. Rest of Verzik, though, they are going to be respawning. The Baron is still available. That was not picked up by Ruddy. Puru and Jamsu are just so strong. I mean, I like the combo between Strangler and Dokai, but I think that there's just more health, more tanky stats, more healing that you can get out of this Zac, and Puru's been playing it incredibly well. You said it was one of his best champions, and I think he's really been showing up on that one. One thing, guys, is going to be completed as well, so now looking to deal a little bit of extra damage. He was already taking all of the damage, he was already healing it all, so he might as well deal a bit too. Why not be the trifecta?
Doesn't seem like there's any anti-heal on the side of Verzik either, so this is Zac really just going to be able to run over these fights with that healing. Spirit Visage to increase that even further, try and nullify some of that damage coming out of Strangler. All positioned towards this top side. I think you make Ruddy make the decision. Do you want the Baron or do you want the Dragon? We will take the other.
Yeah, you're happy with either or. It does mean if you give Ruddy the Drake, you are going to be on soul point for both of you. It becomes a pretty risky team fight that you have to win, otherwise losing out on the Hextech soul, that's huge. It makes these team fights that much harder to play. You've already got Sin on Ruddy, slowing everybody down from Verzik. If you've then also got that Hextech going through people, that gets that much harder. It looks like it's going to be straight onto the Baron for Verzik, but the response is going to be there from Ruddy.
Looks like we could be seeing what could be the final fight of the game, everybody. Baron going relatively, the arrow lands onto Dokai, but again, it's not really the meaningful target you want to hit with this Ash arrow. Shida looking on the flank, 4,000 health on the Baron. They are just peeling off of it, looking to maybe force the fight. Tycool is just going to keep it leashed, doing as much damage as possible. Strangler moving back to the pit, Puru looking for an avenue in, Crisis rather, looking for an avenue in.
It's gone, it's gone!
The Vet Nash is gone, it's already gone to Verzik, and now Dokai is caught out. Shida on the backside trying to take some aggro. As Akers, meanwhile, does this Dragon. The base is being
minion
pushed
wave in the base.
Verzik. Strangler has been able to back is that trade of objectives. The Nasher goes over to Verzik. Third Dragon over to Ruddy. No big fight as yet. We're getting to a point now where one fight will decide this game. Question is, which way does it go?
It's all about who gets onto these main carries. Can Tycool and Soranjay just sit back and deal their damage, let Dokai, Shida, and Strangler take it all? Or do you end up getting picked off? Sin, these arrows have not been completely on point during this game. Same thing with Akers, hasn't really been able to find those picks. If you can find a big pick as Ruddy, that's going to be everything. But we've got items completed all across the board. Pretty much everything. And the QSS on Tycool, that could be huge.
It can definitely mean that if you actually manage to catch this Tristana with any piece of meaningful CC, she's just going to continue as she was.
Yeah.
It's not going to make a huge difference. And I mean, you look at what there is. There's the Frozen Tomb, there's the Ash Arrow, there's the Gold Card, there's the Rel Stun on the Q, Shattering Lance. You're looking at a lot of different things to try and contest with, as Akers and Crisis were hoping to catch Shida on a side lane, but it wasn't to be. Slowly, Akers dropping that ultimate, seeing where everybody is, seeing this bot lane push come in.
Big bot lane push that they've got going. Oh, there we go. Destiny.
TP on to Shida in the mid lane, but the Counter-Strike, it just makes things so easy, but there is a big wave coming into the base here. I mean, Akers and Sin definitely going to melt through these base towers. Looking at a bit of a base race there. I'm just going to back off for the inhib, and now we look to the bot lane where Verzik are making their final push if they can get a catch. Shida and Strangler looking to stop the bases of Sin and Akers. Sin can kite away quite effectively. Puru looking to just help clear this wave here.
Cannon.
Running back
Shida
again, the block.
has flash.
The gold card and the CCMU, and the flash comes in. Akers is the target for now. The flash away, the gold card will come through, land onto Strangler, and now Puru is looking. It is 4 versus 2. And the TP in from Crisis means that Strangler is caught between a rock and a hard plate, and a lady with a lot of ice magic. Dokai is here as well, but the turret's gone down in the bot lane. Soranjay is here in the fight now. Puru healing for so much, but the Magnet Storm on to Jamsu is huge. Soranjay caught out, manages to flash away to safety. Strangler is still alive after so long. Jamsu will fall. Crisis also on the side. Puru trying to do everything they can. Sin is just melting through Dokai, but look at the base. Shida and Tycool, they're ending the game. It's the back door of dreams as the demons rise from hell. The Ducks were on a winning spree, but it's not enough. Verzik go to 3 and 5.
Oh man, that backline play right there. I was watching Tycho, I was like, he's not joining the fight. He's not joining, he doesn't want it. Does not want to get involved, just pushing in. Shida recognized that, knew that it was the play to just go and end the game, and it wasn't the decisive fight that was needed for Ruddy. If they'd have won that fight decisively in the mid lane, maybe they get back to base in time and can stop the game. Maybe they can turn that into a win of their own. Instead, they don't get back, and the base just gets taken out.
Gets absolutely ruined. We said it earlier in the game, Tristan with Demolish, three Void Grubs under our belt, and the Jax as well. These turrets are going to melt, and very good job from Dokai, Strangler, and Soren J to keep that fight going, keep the attention there. Just beautifully played all around. However, that will do it for the games from week 4, day 2, and that is it for the pre-recorded games.
But it's
We're
not
done.
it from this stream.
It's not.
We're
we
going.
will. We're not going to be here, but we will be back.
Actually,
well,
I'm here.
Are you here?
I'm gonna be here.
You might be here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here. Mondays are not my days. But we are going to be back on live client with week 5 day 1's games ready. Week 5 day 1's games ready and waiting for you. Wow, that is insane. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring you these games, even if they have been from the past and from past Vjika and past Bloxer. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. We will see you all again in the very near future. Stick around for the live games. And remember, have a bit of fun with it.